Let me sound. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear me. Sounds quite loud on my end, but there we go. Can you hear me? Oh, it is loud. Right. Is that better? Can you hear me, Roger? Is that a thumbs up from? No, that's a thumbs up from Rob C to Roger. Can you hear me? That's the question of the day. Lovely jubbly. Thank you. Good evening, one and all. I was on the verge of deciding whether or not to do a live stream tonight. My head's a bit battered. Just struggling a little bit mentally, shall we say. But I thought if I come on here, do the live stream, we'll see how it goes. But I thought I'll come on here and do the live stream, and hopefully that will take my mind off of what's going on up top. What's the quality of the picture like, guys? Because I've put it on low latency to see if that makes a difference to any of the problems that we might have. But is the quality of the picture okay? Bit fuzzy, but not bad. Right, that's probably to do with putting it on low latency. It does say if it's on high latency, then the quality is better. So I just sort of just double check there. Brilliant. Well, good evening to you all, and thank you all for joining us this evening. Let me just go through and say hello to a few people. JD, Dave Kelly, Holly, Roger, and Loafer. Good evening to you all. Rex, welcome. 1-1, welcome to you. Kaz, good evening to you. Rob C, Mumuhar, Bleach Demon, thank you for joining us. Vincent, Queen, Akasha, Bill, Ron, thank you for joining us. Stitch, welcome. Who have I missed? Gillian, thank you for joining us. Missy Moon, good evening to you. Ron, no, the hairs are slowly starting to grow. Hopefully, they did say it take about 3 months. It's almost a 3-month mark, so we should be all right soon. Simon, good evening. Crafts, hello. Aluncle, good evening. Daniel, hello to you too. Legal Activity, welcome. Peter, welcome. Tic Tac, welcome. Mrs. W, the lovely Mrs. W, as always, sitting in the background somewhere, perving at me. Thank you, Nick, as well. Thank you for joining us this evening. Again, I'm going to wait till I come back after Christmas to have some what's the word, structure to the live streams. Good evening, Robert. This is going to be a bit like last week. It's going to be a bit of a jumble. We just see what people have got to talk about and sort of take it from there. But as when I come back in January, we'll have a bit more structure to the live streams again, like we did for a while. And we're going to take it from there. You don't have a government, you have a mafia. Yep, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. We have a mafia with enforcers who don't like people doing things on their own without their permission. Not that they'll ever give their permission, because they just want to nick our ideas and do it themselves. So, how's everybody been this week anyway? Has everybody been okay? Everybody been good? Anything interesting happened? And you won't have to put up with me talking for long, by the way. We will get the lines open very soon, so you don't have to just put up with me, because I am feeling a bit miserable today, as I say. So if we get people on, then and hopefully we can leave the talking to them rather than me. You got assaulted by someone 2 days ago. What happened, Craft? Who'd you get assaulted by? Hiya, Beaky. Thanks for jumping on. You don't even know what day it is. Holly, you rarely know what month it is. Never mind what day it is. Oh, hey, Lisa. It is cold, mate. It is. It's yeah. Um, Although next year won't be as cold for me because I'll hopefully have a full head of luscious hair to keep me warm. Hiya, Scouse Mouse. Hiya, Stuart. No problem. This is my new T-shirt, by the way. Just to show it off. This is my pride flag. So that's a new T-shirt that I actually brought for when I went down to London for Armistice Day, but it was underneath a hoodie at the time, so it couldn't be seen. But this is my new T-shirt. This is my pride flag. Although, to be fair, I am kind of losing pride in it a little bit, but you know, hopefully things will turn around at some point. Your neck will still get cold. Well, it would normally, but it folds over, so it keeps the underneath bit warm. See these creases? My neck folds over like that. It keeps my neck warm with the fat folds. You got assaulted by that woman who you're not supposed to go near. How on earth did she get close enough to you to hit you? And did you call the police? Did you film it? Because I know you got a film on your brum brum thing. Keep your chin up, Dan. All of them. Yeah. I did, Bill. I did see that. In fact, I commented on Twitter uh, that and on the video. Actually, I commented under the video that obviously it looked to me like a simple stop and account, which is what it was. They were asking him who he was, where he'd been, where he was going. That's a stop and account. Now, the policy is for all police forces. The policy is, and within the law, the policy is a stop and account refusal to talk to the police under a stop and account is not grounds to therefore suspect another crime is happening. And the fact that they put their hands on him um, after he refused to engage, well, I mean, he engaged with them, but he was kind of taking a piss a bit, wasn't he? Which is fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with. There's no law against taking a piss with the police. But yeah, it was a stop and account. There's absolutely nothing to suggest that under a stop and account you have to actually comply. But then they put their hands on him. To me, it's a assault and battery case. I think he should get a claim out of that if he puts one in. Section 35 was only in place in Walsall. To be honest, I haven't seen that part yet. Obviously, if there's ever a dispersal order in place, or if the police tell you there's a dispersal order in place, and an inspector has just agreed it, what you want to do is as soon as you leave, you want to phone the police and you want to ask them there and then: is there a dispersal order in place authorised by an inspector in such and such an area? And they will tell, because they're in the control room, they won't have heard from the copper initially, right? Trying to bullshit. So as soon as you walk away, you get on the phone. Is there a dispersal order in place in such and such an area? Chances are, if they say, "Oh, it's just been approved," the chances are there's no dispersal in place in that area. To be fair, um, but you always check. Never just take their word for it. Even if you get arrested, it doesn't mean that they're right and you're wrong, as we have seen many times. Are you, Lee? You all right, mate? Hello, Saskia. Um, You were standing waiting for a chance to cross over, and she got off her scooter and smacked you. She nicked your body cam too. You reported it, but as usual, the police have done fuck all about it. Um, right, I'm presuming you've got a phone with a camera on. You see, if somebody nicks something of yours like that, what you want to do is you want to get your phone out straight away, okay, and you want to start recording, and try and show them with your item, right? At least show that you're asking for it back. But don't do anything on camera that's going to get you into trouble. But yeah, you want to get your camera out and say, wait, you just give me my camera back and I'll piss off. Look, you can't just take my stuff and fuck off. Do you know what I mean? So you need to, you've got to try and outthink people a little bit. You know what I mean? So if they take your camera off you and you got a mobile phone in your pocket, get your mobile phone out and start filming and try and capture that on camera as well, because they will use anything that they can that's not on camera to try and discredit you. Can you be given a dispersal order if you live in that area? You can, Lisa, strangely enough, you can. I've heard of stories of people being made to leave their, from outside their residence and having to go and stay elsewhere, okay, because they can't go back to their residence. Personally, I'd go back to my residence and say, listen, you can't fucking disperse me from my own home, you penis. All right. So I went home and I stayed at home rather than going on the streets. But that's just me. Well, uncle, I hope it does help. It's, it's, I mean, I know it sounds silly and I don't mean to sound like I'm sort of knocking people, but it is, majority of it's common sense. If the police ever tell you something, never, ever just accept what the police have said. If there's as I say, a dispersal order in place, right? Well, I'll check that out, one way or the other. And it's best to phone the police because they'll tell you on the phone. Okay. And that way they haven't got time. If you email them or contact them through their website, they've then got time to, go and ask somebody else. Oh, somebody's asking if there was a dispersal order in place. What should I say? Do you know what I mean? And we can't trust the police, unfortunately. He did phone at the end of the video and they wouldn't tell him. Ah, right, okay. Right. Well, there is normally on their website, if an inspector has, and again, I wouldn't use this as gospel, not gospel, but I wouldn't use this as a factual way of finding out because they could um, take their time putting it onto the website. But generally, they have to let people know if there's a dispersal order in an area. So their social media accounts and their website are the first two, or the second two things to do. If you can't get a response over the phone, check their social media, um, check their website, see if there's a dispersal order in place in that particular area. If you can't find anything, then do a freedom of information request. Again, freedom of information requests I'd be cautious of because they then have time. It's a completely different department that has nothing to do with active policing at the time, right? So they've then got to go and ask other people whether there was a dispersal order, and they've only got to take their word for it. Do you know what I mean? If somebody turns around and says, yes, there was a dispersal order, the people in the data center, if you want to call it that, will just go, oh, yeah, okay, we'll tell them yes. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't sort of put too much on freedom of information requests. Well, the police still have, I said this last week, I think, the police still have my mobile phone, which is quite interesting because they've had it for almost 2 years now from being arrested outside the BBC. They didn't ask me for my password. They didn't ask me to turn off the lock, so it was accessible to them. They've just had it all this time. And I've not had any contact from them through the solicitors to say, we're trying to access your phone, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's a waste of time them trying to access it anyway. There's nothing on there, literally nothing on there. But they're so stupid, they didn't sort of look at that before they took it. But there we go. I'll say no more about that. Oh, excuse me. Right. So I'm going to open the phone lines because again, I know you don't want to just sit here looking at me and listening to me. I'm not as good looking as Maya 2C, for example. And I'm not hitting on him by saying that, by the way. Obviously, he is a better looking person than I am, probably younger than me as well. So I know you don't want to sit here just looking at my ugly mug. So I'm going to open the phone lines, and we're going to get some calls on the go. So, well, I say we're going to open the phone lines. That is dependent on whether it all works properly this week or not. Let me settings. Oh, here it is. Audio and video. Can you please let me know if you can hear this? No, you can't, because even I can't hear it. Jesus Christ. Let me try that again. Closing. Same problem we had last week. Oh, Christ. Far from ugly. I'm far from good looking as well. Oh, fuck it. I've done that again, didn't I? Let me try it. Status. God. You'd think I'd know how to do this by now without having issues. Let's try it again. Did you hear that? Brilliant. So it should work. It should work. We will find out, however. So let's get the call-in screen up. And there we go. 01515289590 if you want to call in. Again, you can share any story you like. You can whistleblow. That'd be good if we got some whistleblowers on. You can talk shit. You can call me names. Or if you can think of something else to do, then you can do that. But remember, it's voice only, no videos. Oh, what's just happened there? Right, okay. It's saying on my phone that somebody's trying to call, but it's not coming through on Skype on the computer. Thank you, Scouse Mouse. Much appreciated. Why is that? Is that, or is it not? That was peculiar because my phone lit up, but the computer did not. And the phone is lighting up again. Actually, that was like a really quick. It lit. Whoever that was, did you just like phone and hang up, ring and hang up? Because it didn't. Right, is calling. It's not coming through. Why is it not coming through? I knew there'd be a bloody problem. There always is with me. All right, we're going to try closing that again and reopening that. It's just not even showing on. It's not even showing on the screen that somebody was phoning. Thank you, Bill. You're a superstar. Much appreciated. As always, anything that the channel receives always goes on the channel. It will go on paying for the StreamYard. It will go on any equipment that I need. There we go. I simply don't earn enough to spend it on myself. Hello, good evening and welcome.
Hi, mate. How's things?
Hello, mate. How are you? I'm not so bad. Just feeling a bit shitty today.
That's all right.
Other than that, I'm all right. Let me just double check everyone can hear you first, if you don't mind. Can you let me know that we can hear the caller, please? 5 by 5. Yes, you
all
can.
right then.
Brilliant. Everyone can hear you. Excellent.
Right, I'll make it dead quick because obviously there'll be a fair few people ringing in because everybody's stuck at home with snow. First of all, how's the area you're in?
No snow.
Because they shut that. No snow.
No snow here whatsoever. It's been raining today. It's been wet. It's been cold. I mean, it was 2 degrees today. It's not as cold as it has been. We've been down to -2 recently, -4 at one point. But it's been 2 degrees today. It's been raining. It's been drizzling all day. We've had no snow. It could be that it's tried snowing along with the rain and the rain's melted it, but I've not seen anything settle at all this year so far.
Sorry, well, I'm in the. My area's been declared a national emergency.
What?
Because I'm up in Cumbria. So we've got
emergency. So we've been having snow. We've been having snow for the last since forever, and they're still calling it national emergency because they can't cope with it. Jesus Christ!
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right, couple of things. Basically, I want to throw one out for your listeners. It'll cause World War III, no doubt, but I'll come to that one in a minute. Question for you. As you know, I went and did a voluntary a while back. I've heard now since. Now, at the time, the solicitor I had, to be blunt, was, how can I put this nicely? I used to the Camden Hurricane, because she kept pushing me to say that I was guilty, and I kept telling her to piss off. I wasn't guilty.
Of course.
And I made it quite clear, if it went to court, I was going to go non-guilty. Anyway, long story short, I've heard now since. So I'm picking your brain. What's the likelihood of them dropping it? Will it be in a voluntary, or do they have to re-nick me and stuff to charge me?
Well, the chances are they'll come out if they find that they've got enough evidence, or if they think, let me rephrase it, if they think they've got enough evidence, or if they think you'll fold and admit it, then they'd have to come out and arrest you anyway. If they didn't arrest you at the voluntary, then they'd have to come out and arrest you at some other point. But that could take months, to be fair.
Fair enough, right, okay, that's fair enough, that's the first one. Right, second thing is, I'm going to talk to you, and your listeners can jump all over this, because I've been jumping all over the net today. I was out in the vehicle today, yes, I was all daft idiots that was driving in the snow. And it was great, the back end was stepping all over, it's fantastic. The amount of crashes I saw was unbelievable, so people need to learn how to drive in the snow. Anyway, going back to what I was bringing in for. It was on the radio today that Starmer's now said, you're going to love this, that Maggie had the right attitude when it came to dealing with the general public in the matter of getting the country back on its feet.
So, to be fair, now, I've heard something about that today. I saw a post on Twitter saying from a Labour supporter, obviously, saying, "Oh, I never thought I'd hear another Labour supporter say that they agree with how Maggie dealt with things." But sorry, I don't know much about it, so please carry on. Sorry.
Right, okay. Right, well, I'll give you the gist of what I got told. Basically, he's done a write-up for one of these national newspapers, as he does every week. And in that, he put that his basic argument when he was challenged about it was he wrote it because he was saying that the government in charge at the minute are clueless. Which, to be fair, I don't think many people can agree is not the case. Yeah. However, to turn around and quote somebody and say they had the right idea that destroyed the miners, for the older ones in the group, took away the milk, wrecked the town, wrecked the country. I can't see how the hell this guy can keep his job and still be a Labour leader, because Maggie stood against everything that his party stood for.
What he'll do is he'll turn around and he'll go, "Oh, you misunderstood. That's not what I meant." Once he's had time to think about it and he's got his PR firm onto it, "Oh, how can we fucking spin this?" Then he'll come out. I guarantee he'll come out with, "Oh no, you took it the wrong way. You misunderstood what I meant."
Well, this is why I'm bringing in, because I'm stuck in the house all night anyway, which I'm anyway most Saturday and Sunday nights. So I thought I'd give you a quick ring in to say hello and to obviously make sure you're still living. And B, obviously, I throw it out to your listeners and say, what's their opinion on this? Because to me, I'm an ex-Labour supporter, just so you know, and all listeners know. I used to support Labour, lost faith in them when the local Labour Party allowed a lot of things that shouldn't have been allowed to go ahead. And then when it went to national government, they basically squashed everybody, because there was quite a few of us complained about it in the local area. And we were basically told it's a local issue, naff off, we're not interested. it then became a national issue because the national papers got hold of it. So at that point, I left the party and I've not been back since. I won't go back. I don't really support any of the parties at the minute.
Right.
But I can't get my head round how the hell this guy, who's supposed to be a Labour leader, supposed to stand up for the unions and everything else. Over the last 6 months, I've been sitting there after his statement today, just going over the past 6 months and on paperwork and stuff that I've seen online. And I can't get my head around how the hell he can say that he's part of Labour, because he's just a closet conservative. Because he hasn't stood up for...
Sorry, go on.
The unions. Yeah, he hasn't stood up for the unions. He hasn't stood up for... And again, a touchy subject for some of the listeners, but the bombing that's going on in... where the hell is it? His brain's gone blank. Palestine at the minute. But yeah, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I do agree with the point that's been made that the members of the public that are in it should be given the opportunity to get the hell out of there. How they're doing it, that's a different matter. That's a whole other conversation. But I do think there's, that it's getting a bit over when kids are getting blown to bits.
The thing is though. Sorry, just to intercept.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
The problem is, right, a lot of these people, I mean, they were told to get out of the areas that were going to get bombed. Hamas stopped a lot of people from leaving the areas. Okay, from everything that I've seen, Hamas was supposed to have shot people who were trying to leave the areas of Gaza that were going to get blown up. So we can't simply say that Israel shouldn't be bombed.
Oh yeah, no, there's more to it. I'm just giving you the general thing for your listeners, but to get where I'm coming from with it. But basically, my point is this: when Maggie came in, I was the kid at the time. She destroyed the unions, destroyed the miners, and that was pure case of she felt they had too much power.
Yeah,
she got the old bill to go in and take all the identification off them, and were heavy-handed. So to me, she did more damage to the country than she did good in one respect, because at the end of the day, she sold off nearly all the stuff that wasn't nailed down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From within the public purse, she sold everything that wasn't nailed down, basically. But my point is, and this is why I'm asking your listeners for their opinion on it, because I am open to other people's opinions, like most people are. And unfortunately, I actually do listen to them as well. I can't see how he can turn around and keep his position as a Labour leader when he's saying an ex-Conservative member of Parliament, leader of the party, leader of the Conservative Party, did a good job when she basically obliterated 90% of the unions and 90% of the coal mines and everything else, which they're now reopening, by the way, under this new government.
Right.
It makes no sense to me how he can turn around on one hand and say, well, I'm for the working man, but when the working man got shafted X, Y, Z years ago, that was a good idea. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Well, what I'm doing, I'm just putting a poll. I'm going to put a poll up, right? So, do you think Keir Starmer can keep his position in Labour after his Maggie Thatcher comments? All right. So I'll pop that up, and we get an answer. There's 150 people watching at the moment, so let's hope that the majority of people will.
Oh yeah,
will
it's just something I'd be interested to do, because one of the things that I'll be honest with you, I've been contacted by all Labour members who I'm still speaking to, who again left the party. Some of them are still there, some of them left the party. Yeah. But I've said to them when they contact me, I said, actually, my mate's on the radio tonight, aka the internet yourself. I said, so I'll give you a ring and get what the public feeling is. I said, I'll let you know on Monday, I'll see you. And it'd be interesting to get what the listeners think about, because obviously I'm partly biased because I'm in the area that one of the areas is destroyed. But on the flip side of that, I haven't been in the party for that long, so obviously you're bound to have members on your panel and whatnot that are Labour supporters, we will say. So it'd be interesting to find out what their thoughts are.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm more than happy to put that out to them as I've done. At the moment, it's 62% are saying no, 38% say yes. Maybe I've worded that properly. I have put, do you think Keir Starmer can keep his position in Labour? Maybe I should have put should keep his position in Labour, but we'll keep it as it is for now.
Yeah, no stress. I'll be watching all night, including when you go over the panel, so it'd be interesting to get their thoughts. So on that note, I will get out of your hair. What little is left of it, after pulling it out in all this bloody weather up this neck of the woods. And I will speak to you probably again next week, but I will be whistling watching.
No problem. I will speak to you soon.
All right, mate. Have a good
See
you soon.
Andrew. Bye now.
All right, mate. Bye.
Interesting question. Got two people calling, but we'll take one call. Hello.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
Good evening. How are you? I'm not so bad. Feel a little bit shitty and down tonight, but you know, show must go on sometimes, as they say.
Oh yeah, the show must go on, and Maggie Thatcher would probably be rolling in her grave at the moment at the thought of being mentioned by Keir Starmer.
Again, politics not really my area, shall we say? But
yeah,
I know enough. I know enough about her and sort of Labour to, you know, to know that.
Yeah,
that
well,
pretty fucking stupid thing for Starmer to say.
Oh yeah, well, he's managed to offend everyone by saying that, but never mind. He's going to win the next election, unfortunately, because we're led by a bunch of turkeys.
And that's not going to change if he takes over either.
Oh no, it'll be worse in so many ways. I mean, look at what they're doing to Rosie Duffield. If they can do that to their own, imagine what they've got in store for the rest of us. Yeah,
well, again, they don't care. That we've all known this for a long time. They don't care about anybody. They don't even care about their own people. You know, it's all about themselves.
You know, if you're Jewish, you should really, really be worried because things are bad now, but they will be worse if Starmer gets in. Believe you me. I mean, just look at Britain today. You've got terrorists out on the streets supporting genocide.
Yep.
And in Swansea city centre, South Wales police have de facto decriminalised anti-Semitic abuse. There was a Socialist Workers' Party stall in the city centre yesterday,
right.
With signs in both English and Arabic proclaiming "from the river to the sea." And when the UKIP parliamentary candidate for Llanelli, who lives in the city, complained to the police on duty, he filmed the police officer going up to where the stall was and completely ignoring it, completely failing to do his duty. It's clear that you know, South Wales police, they're anti-Semitic, just like the Met, just like the police in the Channel Islands. Because let's not forget, the Channel Islands were the only part of the UK that were successfully invaded by the Nazis.
Yeah.
And the police officers were collaborating with the occupying forces, rounding up Jews, sending them to concentration camps. There's mass graves they're still finding mass graves on the Channel Islands of the victims of Himmler and the SS. And so the police have, they have a long track record of institutional racism, institutional anti-Semitism. It's been nearly 25 years since the McPherson report.
Yeah.
And you know what they say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And in the Mets case, they certainly haven't got any better. I mean, it's just, this country is an absolute state. And it's going to get a lot worse under the Labour Party.
I think one of the problems is that a lot of the public, as well as politicians and the police, are afraid to actually ask questions for fear of upsetting people. So what they do is they just follow the narrative because they're afraid of saying, hang on a minute, could you be wrong here? Because even asking somebody a simple question like that is seen as being discriminatory these days, especially if you're asking somebody who might be of a minority group, so to speak. Now, I've been doing some reading this week, believe it or not, and from what I've gathered, and again, I'm not really into religion, but Judaism and Christianity was around, at least 1600 years before Islam. Muhammad turned up and went, "Oh, I'm going to start my own religion," right? And he went out and he tried to, for I think it was for 12 years, he tried to recruit people into Islam, right? And he couldn't recruit anybody apart from his friends and family, like close friends and family. He decided then to go into Jewish areas or Jewish countries to try and recruit people from there. Now, I believe that there were Christians living alongside Jewish people in these areas, many, many years ago. And none of these people wanted to join Islam. So Muhammad got the ump. His arse fell out and he turned around and went, "Right, well, fuck you lot. I'm going to change the words of what God told me. And we're going to make everybody that does become a Muslim hate every other fucker." Right? Now, this is stuff that I've looked into over the last few days. Okay, now that's a very condensed version of what I've learned over the last few days, but I think it goes to show, and this is from academics as well that I've learned this from, but this is from academics as well, that people now are too afraid to say, "Well, hang on a minute, we're all saying we're standing with you, but your book, shall we say, tells you to fucking hate us, not to like us. We are dogs. We are nothing. We are nobody to Islam." And what's going to happen is these people that are all supporting this pro-Palestine stuff and allowing what's going on the streets to continue is eventually, when we have, as somebody posted on Facebook earlier, Queen Fatima the First, right, or King Muhammad the First, they're soon going to find out that it's that they've just wasted a year of their lives trying to support people that just want to take everything from them.
It's actually more interesting than that. I suggest that you and everyone else study the works of Dr. J. Smith, and in particular, Dr. J. Smith, and in particular, a debate he had a few years ago with a man called Dr. David Wood. Now, some of you may have heard of who David Wood is. He's a polemicist who has a reputation for telling it as it is about Islam, so much so that Mona Sunith Chowdhury, the terrorist, quoted admiringly of him at his second major high court trial.
Yeah.
And according to the evidence gathered by J. Smith, by other people, Islam doesn't exist. It's actually a fiction. It was a political construct created by an Arab ruler called Abu Malik, I think, also known as the Arab Reformer, and it was just a foundational myth to give legitimacy to the Arab Empire. Islam is literally a political construct. There was no revelation from God. There wasn't even a historical Muhammad. Muhammad is actually an Arabic title called the Blessed One.
Right.
And it was actually given to an exiled Christian king who created Arab national consciousness.
Okay.
There was no real historic Muhammad. There is no real historic Mecca. It was all a political construct that took centuries to build. So much so that the modern day Quran was only created in 1922 on the outskirts of Cairo at the university, one of the universities. So Islam is completely make-believe, like the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus.
Well, I've got to be honest. I think they're all make-believe. My own opinion, right? So I'm not knocking anybody that does believe any particular religion, because it's good to have a belief in something. And maybe that's why my life is fucking miserable at the moment, because I don't have that belief in something. I don't feel that there's enough. I don't feel that there's enough evidence to make me start believing in an invisible man. Do you know what I mean?
I can understand where you're coming from, but in the case of Islam, it definitely is, a fairy tale. It's as fake as Scientology. There's absolutely zero archaeological evidence for Muhammad and Islam. The earliest mention of him is 60 years after his death.
Right, okay.
In the Al-Aqsa Mosque. He's a political construct. Islam as a religion is a political construct. It's no different from Romulus and Remus and the Roman Empire, the Roman foundational myth.
Right. I thought you was talking, when you said Romulus, I thought you was talking about Star Trek for a minute.
Not quite. But yes, certain archetypes have been used in science fiction. So the Romulan Empire and the Centauri Republic in Babylon 5 are both modeled after the Roman Empire.
Right. Okay, which doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
Islam's fake. It doesn't exist. It was created by an Arab politician and ruler to legitimize the Arab empire that had been created in the 7th century.
Well, as I've said, I mean, I'm religion and politics aren't really something that I look into too much, right? I know what I know based on what I hear with my own ears. When it comes to things like Islam and how they feel towards Westerners and things, I hear that from their mouths themselves. When I see videos and saying certain things about Westerners, for example. So I know that there is a dislike towards us. I've not read the Quran, so I wouldn't profess to know sort of in-depth details about the religion or any other religion.
To be fair, Muslims probably dislike us less than the Labour Party and the ruling class in this country.
I don't know so much. I mean, they've been given quite a bit of leeway, haven't they, by the people in charge of this country to do quite a lot of stuff.
I genuinely believe that people like Charlie Boy, like Starmer, Leo Varadkar, they hate us more than the Muslims hate us.
Well, again, from what and I'm learning stuff from you as well, and I'll look into that when I get a chance to. But from what I've heard, it's the religion that tells them to hate us, not them themselves. So I think
I agree with you. Them as individuals, they can. I've met a lot of Muslims in my life, and on an individual basis, they are polite, kind, considerate.
Yeah,
wonderful hospitality. They're a good people, but they've been corrupted by a terrible conceit, which is that religion.
Yeah,
and this is the distinction. In Christianity, we all fall short of the mark, and Christianity, it takes some of the worst people on the planet, and in spite of themselves, makes these people better, but they still never ever manage to obtain the standard that Jesus set. Islam, it's completely different. It's very easy to live a better life than the fictional character they talk about, supposedly led, but it can corrupt people. And the classic example is Osama bin Laden. If you know anything about Osama bin Laden, he was actually a very pleasant man. But unfortunately, he was corrupted by his parents' beliefs, particularly their anti-Semitism and their enthusiasm for the political construct known as Islam. And that totally corrupted him. And I have a belief that if Osama bin Laden had been born in America, he would have been Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump had been born in Saudi Arabia, he would have been Osama bin Laden. Now, okay, Trump's rude and crude and loud and occasionally obnoxious, and he's very outgoing, whereas bin Laden was more thoughtful, reserved, spoke with a soft voice, actions spoke louder than words. He did take advice from people. In fact, that's probably what led to his downfall. He took advice from the wrong people, and he went down the dark path that he went.
But the thing is, we could all be in completely opposite positions to what we are now if we were born elsewhere, or even if we were born to a different family. Do you know what I mean? So I agree with you. Yeah, Osama bin Laden could have been, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump could have been like Osama bin Laden if they were born in opposite roles. I totally agree with that, and I think that that's exactly the same with all of us. If I'm fostered, right, or adopted. Now I've grown up, I think, pretty respectful. I was a bastard when I was growing up. I'm not going to, and I've never denied that. I was an absolute twat when I was growing up. I had a chip on my shoulder, right? But my sister, Donna, her name was, my sister, she stayed within the family. And I know this is a bit of a weird, connection, but just bear with me a sec. My sister stayed within the family. I was sent out to live with other people. My life compared to her life is completely different, obviously. She ended up dying 20, it must be nearly 20 years ago now, by taking a methadone overdose, right? And I've never touched that stuff. Now, if I'd have stayed within the family, who knows? I could have been a drug addict. I could have been on the street. I could be dead from taking an overdose. But the fact is, I was put with a family that brought me up to be, they brought me up to be respectful. I'm not saying that I was always respectful, but they brought me up to be respectful and polite and help people, etc. But just a simple thing of being brought up in a different area of the same town by different people, as I believe I've turned out completely different to how I potentially would have. And this is the same for all of us, and we should all be lucky. We should all be thankful that we were brought up where we were, with who we were, when we were, because I think it's I might not be so thankful as much as I should be, but we should all be thankful that we have the lives that we have, because it could be so different for all of us.
Yeah,
especially if the Germans or Muslims took over.
Yeah, well, I think the more immediate threat comes from the ruling class, who utterly despise us. And I know why they despise us. Let's bring things full circle. People like Keir Starmer, like Gordon Brown, they have never forgiven the British people, particularly the white working class, for voting Tory 4 general elections in a row. And they've wanted their revenge ever since. That's what open door immigration was about, rubbing our faces in diversity, because we have a false consciousness and voted the wrong way between 79 and 92. This is all about revenge for them being in the wilderness and for them embracing Thatcherism. And Cameron and Co, the reason they went along with people like Blair was because they wanted political power. The difference between David Cameron and Tony Blair is that Tony Blair actually has a vision for what he wants. It wasn't just about power for power's own sake. He had a vision. As evil and twisted as that vision was, at least he had a vision. Cameron wanted the power, but absolutely had no clue what he wanted to do with it. He just thought, we'll copy Labour.
Yeah. Well, it's again, it's one of them subjects that we could talk for hours about and say that this person's wrong, that person's wrong, that person's right. I agree. Scouse Mouse has put there, if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let you do it. And I think obviously when democracy was born, shall we say, I think it was a great idea and people had the right idea. It is now that they've had centuries to work out how to twist democracies to fit their narratives, and I believe that that's what they do. I don't believe that voting, a lot of people will argue with me. I know,
well, it will be very interesting it'll be very interesting to see what happens in Argentina over the next 4 years, and in particular what Milei's relationship is going to be with the Argentine police, because he's got a lot of enemies who are out to get him in this country and abroad.
Yeah,
and I think that the most serious threat comes from the military and the security services, including the police.
I don't know a lot about what's going on over there, to be honest, so I wouldn't be able to add anything to that conversation. But I'm going to have to wrap this call up, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, Dan.
No worries. Thank you for calling.
See you again.
Take it easy.
God bless.
Bye. Bye. Steve, I think every religion is a threat. Every religion is a threat to every other religion, I think. Hello, good evening and welcome.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Hang on, I'll just turn this down. Hang on.
No worries.
Hang on, I'll just turn this down. Hang on. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yourself?
I'm here.
Yeah,
my head's been battered today. I've not been sleeping at all well for the last few days, and I think I'm just tired.
Oh, sorry, mate.
But it's one of them things.
Yeah, good thing about the thing tonight and all that, but it's I'm still unemployed with bits and pieces, but it's like, I mean, they had a thing on Grimsby the other day on YouTube, and so now how bad it is. Well, I come from Grimsby. It really is it's the pits now, mate. It's unbelievable. You wouldn't even send your cat up there.
No, I saw. I don't know what it was. Where I saw it. I think I saw it on. It wasn't telly because I don't watch telly, so it must have been a clip that I saw on social media. It was like a documentary or something on Grimsby.
Yeah, it is unbelievable.
And I only watched about 10 minutes of it, to be honest. But obviously since the reports sort of closed down and the docks rather sort of dried up, the town went into massive decline, didn't it? And it's the poorest place to live in the country.
Like your last caller was on about the Falklands and the Argentines, but
yeah,
they won't get that back. They're going to say, sorry, mate. You can keep it. You can go back to Argentine and stay there, and don't even bother getting out of bed and trying it, because they won't get it. Won't get it at all.
Yeah,
it's like people say, you look at our history or what's happened. People say, 14,000 got killed in the first month of the war. Well, you think of how many people got killed in Northern Ireland? About 23,000 in 10 years of the Troubles.
Yeah.
So that's nothing to what they're going to go. They're going to level the place. So there's no worry about that. But if you look at Palestinian all the time, they want. The United Nations have put everything but the kitchen sink in there. They've even probably thrown that in there somewhere, but they still haven't sorted it out. So what are they going to do? You go and play in my back garden, you expect to get a kicking. It's as simple as that. But these people, Palestinians and all that, what do they know about it? The youth today, the students, what do they know nothing about the world.
Most of them don't. They're literally a lot of people are just jumping on a bandwagon. Oh, another protest. That gives I haven't got.
Yeah, we'll go and do that one.
I haven't got to stay in bed all day today. I can go and join a protest and tire myself out before I go home and punt some money off of mummy and daddy. They listen, but they don't learn. A lot of people, And I'm not saying I know everything about what's going on, because I most certainly do not. Okay, but I've I think my eyes are pretty open to a lot of things, and I do research into things that interest me. And I do think when it comes to this whole Palestine thing, I do think that Israel are probably going over the top at the moment. In fact, not probably, I think they are going over the top at the moment with bombings. They could do more ground assaults rather than blanket bombing, but they are, from what I've seen in videos, warning people where they're going to bomb and giving people the opportunity to get the fuck out of there. And if people are choosing not to get the fuck out of there, or if people are not fighting back against Hamas and being made to stay there, then that isn't, I don't think, the fault of Israel. Again,
no, not at all.
May disagree with me on that, and that's absolutely fine. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, but it's like people say, the Americans had their 9/11. It's like some people say, it's terrible about this. I can understand that. Yes, we're all human, but at the end of the day, the police, I've got no time for. I've got time for the ambulance crews and the fire service, but when you get a guy that pushes a paramedic out of an ambulance, that's really well out of order. You deserve to.
Sorry, I just mention something, because you brought up 9/11 then. Well, again, 9/11, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but after 9/11, in Gaza, the Palestine people, not Hamas, but the Palestine people, were dancing and singing and celebrating the death of nearly 3,000 people.
Yeah, I did see that. I did hear about that years ago. Yeah.
And yet these people are like, oh, we'll back you Palestinians, because you're the underdog and you're being oppressed and you're poor and blah blah blah. These people that they're protesting for wouldn't think twice about dancing on the grave of the people that are protesting with them at the moment.
Yeah, but another thing is Palestinian, about their water supply and all that. We haven't got no water, we haven't got enough food and all that. Well, hang on. Considering Egypt supply Palestine with all their water, because they've got water purification plants in Palestine and in Egypt.
Yeah.
And so Palestine hasn't really got an air force. Their armies, they're not an army, they're just a ragtag bag of nuts and bolts. Yeah. But they won't learn. It's like, what have we got over here? We haven't had our 9/11 yet, but when we do, all I can say is God help the infrastructure, because it just won't be able to cope. No. You got a lot of these people in these immigration camps, RAF, this and that. But how do you know a lot of them are terrorists? You don't know, because they've never been vetted. They're not happy with the food. They're not happy with the accommodation. Well, they've never paid in. As soon as one of their kids gets done, or say someone gets killed, he said, gets abused or whatever, all that moaning like buggery. Well, hang on. Well, why haven't you brought your children over? Where's your wife or whatever? I don't get it half the time. I just can't be on money.
Again, you're absolutely right. And video after video after video, countless videos show that the people coming over are males, 30 years old, 20 to 30, 40 years old males. Where, and you're right. Where are their wives? Where are their children? Are they leaving their wives and children to be killed in these alleged war zones that they're fleeing? If they are, then they're not the kind of people that we want in a civilized society, is it? Because we don't do shit like that. If our wives and kids are in a situation where they're going to get killed, then we send them and we stay and fight.
It's like the other ones. Our servicemen, God help the poor little buggers outside, but I think more about the other side of the coin than they do the servicemen that are sitting out in the streets. The men or women. And these people, look at Dublin. Dublin used to be a lovely little place, but I can't do that. There was a thing, I think it was in Dublin or in London, someone pushed over an a veteran, and I didn't even bother standing him up. I mean, that is well out of order.
Yeah.
If a copper deserves to if he gets killed, well, sorry, that's tough shit. That's what you signed up for. If you don't like it, go and get another job.
Well, I mean,
but I never learn.
You know what I think when it comes to the police. I think everybody watching this probably knows what I think when it comes to the police. Yeah. Now, as people, nobody deserves to die, right?
No.
I don't think anybody should die. And if the police are dealing with a situation and a third person joins in or throws, I mean, as I've seen in Ireland, you know, throws a petrol bomb and somebody burns up and dies, that isn't normal.
Genocide, it's murder.
You know, it's not. Well, it's not normal, right? In any country, right? You throw. You know, if you're fighting with somebody trying to get them off. I mean, look, 1-on-1. You know, a fight, whatever happens, right? But if somebody comes along and shoots somebody else or stabs somebody else or throws a petrol bomb at them, even if they're police, unfortunately, I've got to say that that's fucking wrong, right? Because police don't deserve that. They deserve to be.
And they've got all the kit there. Well, they've got loads of kit.
Dealt with in the right way, the same as we deserve to be dealt with in the right way by the police. But unfortunately, and I'm not saying it's the right thing, but unfortunately, the police have built a rod for their own back in the way that they've treated the public for many, many years, and it has got to a breaking point where people now no longer give a fuck. Unfortunately,
no, they don't.
You know, and some people are quite happy to do time for it, and that's a sad situation to be in.
It really is. It's a sad situation that our lovely, blessed country is going down. Well, it's gone down the drain. It's probably down the bottom of the sewer now, getting processed. But I don't know, mate. Teachers you can't do this. You can't say that. I mean, even when I do what I do, you know, I do part time, which I'm not going to mention it, but it's getting into that side of the fence. But it's getting beyond the joke. You know, you put down for a job, go for that one. Go. I mean, 10 jobs where you go. Got all the bits and pieces. They don't even get back to you. It's unbelievable.
I've literally just stopped the. There was a poll going, and I forgot about it because there's something in the way on the screen. But I've just stopped it, and this was the poll about Starmer.
Yeah, I know you were saying. Yeah.
Right. Well, the poll was finished. 55% say that no, he shouldn't keep his job after the Maggie Thatcher comments, and 44% of people say that they think he can keep his position. That's quite close. It's very close, in fact.
I think they should get. I think they should get rid of the London mayor. Definitely.
But there's no fucking need for him. I don't think we've got all of these. We've got all of these other boards that are supposed to oversee the mayor. What's the point of having a fucking mayor in the first place? You know, and there should never be one person in control of everything anyway. There should be a group of people that are that make decisions.
But it's I mean, what was the other word? Nottingham Council, they're broke. Nottingham Council are absolutely broke.
Birmingham went bankrupt, didn't they? Not so long ago.
Yeah. And what was the other one? You see the Nottingham, I think it was the chief inspector in Nottingham, or one of the two up there. I think it was Northampton or Nottingham. He was wearing he had his medals on. What really got me and a lot of the veterans was he was wearing a Falklands medal. He'd never even been there, and he was 5 years old when he went. Supposedly went to. I know. I thought, well, hang on, because if you get medals, you've got to go to the medal board. The Ministry of Defence. The medals are issued by the medal board. It's like the Mint. You got your army number there. They've got all your bits and pieces and what you've done. You know, even your Jubilee medals, and you've got silver Jubilee medals. Are all got your number on. You think?
Yeah.
I mean, people say
apparently wearing his brother's medal, wasn't he? But it should have been
wearing and you get some people today. I'm an ex-policeman. I've got all right. You probably won't like it. One was I've got certificates for bravery. What good is a bit of paper when you should have a proper medal for bravery? They're just bits of paper.
Yeah, they mean nothing apart from to the
person
that receives it. The
Yeah.
only people it means something to are the people that receive it. You think about marriage these days, that's a piece of paper, and look how people piss all over the concept of marriage these days.
Yeah, I mean, medals is medals. You earn medals. They don't give them away. You earn them.
You imagine having to wear a medal for being married. I think a lot of men need a medal for being married, but imagine having to wear something that says that you're married. And I mean, yes, you wear a ring, but ring, everybody takes a fucking ring off. You make like a medal, right? A medal you wear, and you wear with pride, right? If you had something, that you were married and you had that on, and you were proud to show it off to everybody, like a medal, right? I think less people would go out and start and cheat and fuck about and ruin marriages. I think people would think about them a lot more seriously.
It's like you get the ambulance, the ambulance crews that they do work hard. So do all the people that work in the hospital, but you get people that that guy that got done for that thing in the mortuary and all that. Where was all their security? That thing. Hang on, sensitive things like that. They normally have, say, like an access system or a security system. Why haven't they done it? We install CCTV. No, sorry, but why don't you? It should have been done years ago. Years and years ago. I mean, I used to work at. I'm going to say the place, it's Richmond, but I used to work with a guy that used to do that type of job. It's at Isleworth, not to mention his name, but he said it was a joke.
Yeah.
And we're going back with Jimmy Savile, that's all I'm going to say. But he was at Isleworth and he used to go in there a lot and never said anything but it's where our society is broken down, and it's broken. People are doing this, but giving all this paper, all this money to that thing and to this and all that. Well, if it does go, you can see it's going to happen. There is going to be a civil war in this country, and when it is, I don't want to be around. I do want to be around, but I think, well, come on, where's it gone? It's gone down the drain.
It's all very well saying you want to be around if there's a civil war, but we've got nothing to protect ourselves with anymore. They made sure of that by turning everything into a weapon and making it illegal.
Yeah.
So,
I used to like shooting, shooting club and all that. Can't do it now because it's oh, sorry. I mean, my brother owns a farm in Oakham, in Rutland, and he's come back off what he does. He does maritime security, and the police come round and said, "Oh, we want to see your firearms." And the wife's just come back from America. She works in the States. Sorry, and my husband's not here. He's on board. He's on board one of the Dutch container ships.
Right.
I said, "Oh, well, that does make things a little bit harder." Well, because they've never been out for like these, only for cleaning. They've only been out probably a year and 6 months or 3 months ago, for cleaning and all that. But they just like, what are you going to do? Oh, some old lady down the road we heard a couple of shotgun rounds. Well, what do you expect? It's a farm, expect to go and shoot rabbits or shoot foxes, and it's what a farm does.
Yeah.
But people sticking their oar in where it's not wanted. I mean, the air rifle now, you've got to have a license for an air rifle. Yeah, I can understand that. I can totally understand that. But people today, guns and machetes, they should be banned. Full stop. But they don't.
No. It's a lot harder when it comes to we'll call them bladed articles. It's a lot harder, to be fair. And I'm not sticking up for anybody. I think that the way that the police have categorized a lot of things, or the government is completely fucked up, right? And it allows for things to fall through the gaps. Machetes, no. I mean, machetes should never be allowed on the street, unless you're taking it from your car to a property. Okay, and that's if you're doing work there or taking it home because you've just brought it. Just the only time. It's like a car. You're only allowed to drive over a curb that's not dropped. In fact, you're not even supposed to drive over a curb that's not dropped. But you're only allowed to drive over a curb, on a drop if you've got a drop curve, right? So other than that, you're not allowed to drive on a curb. And if you get caught driving on a curb, you're going to get nicked for it. You're going to get pulled over. You're going to get fined, right? If you're caught with any kind of weapon, something that is clearly being carried around to do damage to somebody, right? I think it should be an immediate arrest. There should be no mitigating circumstances for it, unless obviously, as I say, you're working and you're walking from your work van or, to the place of work, for example. That's the only mitigating evidence that I think that there should be for a machete, for a zombie knife, for anything like that, right? Other than that, it's bang, you're nicked, right? 5 years inside. People soon stop carrying them.
It's like these people that, I'm a qualified chef by trade, and the law states that you have to carry the knives
in a
rolled up pouch or in a lockable case.
Well, even in a rolled up, even if they're rolled up, they're still supposed to theoretically be inside something that's locked as well. Because I'm a chef, I remember I used to have to in the back of my girlfriend's car years ago when I used to drive that. We used to have a locked, like the the plastic workman cases with the drawer on the top with all your screws in and your tools underneath. I used to have one of them with all of my kitchen equipment in it, and if it wasn't locked, my missus at the time would fucking say to me, she'd have a go at me for it. She'd go, if I get fucking pulled over and that's not locked in the back, I'm going to get done for it. Oh, fucking hell, sorry. But you're right, there is no real excuse for carrying any blades on the streets.
I mean, you get people today that governments say, like, you got Serco, you got Mighty, G4S, people that when they'll tell you we can do it better than the prison officers. They can't do nothing right. We have in the MOD, they used to have his MPGS, Guard Force. They're all inside the military and all that. But some of them today, Bista's a big depot.
I hate that place. I always used to call it Bicester.
Yeah, well, that's his proper name. When were you down there then? Many years ago?
No, I don't think I've ever been down there. It's just I've had to pronounce it before on the channel.
It is a bit of a
couple of years ago. There was some instance down there with the police, and I've mentioned it, and I've never heard of it before, and I just saw the word and I said it as I read it, and everyone was taking a piss out of me.
I know it is. Bicester. It's one of the biggest MOD depots in Oxford, just outside of Oxford. Bicester and Banbury, between Banbury, Bicester, and Leamington Spire, and it's got its own private army railway and stuff like that. In the old days, in the 80s, when I was there, the Upper Hayford used to be down the road, and you used to get the A10 tank busters fly over Bicester, over the depot. And one day there was a load of Hell's Angels coming, giving it all large ones, Coulsville, Bista's a garrison. So you've got 16 back and you've got 17 back. And at 17 back, you'll probably have like 7,000 soldiers.
Right.
So you've got them at 17 back or 16 back, you have over 9,000. It's a garrison. Plus you've got the signals. You've got the Ordnance Corps, you've got the RMP. So when they said, we're going to have a fight, so everybody knew everybody else. The Americans knew us, we knew them. So they don't want to come down for a fight next one long weekend. Yeah, so they all tipped up. The Americans tipped up. There's like the old local bill, they kept on the side. The RMP kept on the side, so the Americans. And we just got on with it. And basically they lost, but they all went home with their legs between their tails and said, well, don't bother coming back, We put it all back together. Everybody picked everybody up, went in the old pub and the old Red Lion up there, which is no longer there, unfortunately. And everybody went back to about they've had any trouble over there. They've got a prison up there now in Bicester. I can believe it.
Listen, I'm afraid I'm going to have to wrap this up. We've been 20 minutes.
Okay, mate. Take care.
More.
I spoke to Si last week. He seems all right.
Yeah, he was on a little while ago in the comments. I don't know if he's still watching somewhere.
I probably missed the old bloke. What he's like. He's a nice guy as well. Take care, mate. Bye.
Right. Yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
Bye, mate.
So, mate. Hello, caller.
Hello, Dan. It's Steve or Boily Boy on the stream. How are you?
Hello, not so bad, mate. Can you just give me 1 second? I just want to respond to a couple of comments and then I'll come straight back to you.
No worries,
right?
Dan.
Right.
Yeah.
John Spence, 25 minutes ago, you put a comment, and I've made sure that I've not scrolled on the comments so I can see it. You said you ended up in a kids' home in Wrexham. Worst time of your life. I just want to say that I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I know a lot of people have, again, this goes back to our lives could be vastly different, and it only takes one change in our lives for that to occur. Unfortunately, as you say, you had a terrible time, and I'm sorry to hear that. I just want, I wanted to acknowledge that I had seen that comment, and so you didn't think I was ignoring you. Secondly, what was the other thing I was thinking of or looking at? Hang on a second. No, can't find it. Anyway, Steve, how you doing?
Not too bad, Dan. I was just going to say, first of all, nice one for doing the stream anyway, seeing as you're feeling like shite. A lot of people appreciate it. But I was calling about a different thing where the other day someone from the council came round and wanted to speak to Stitch's son because he hadn't registered on the electoral roll and said it'd been 3 opportunities, so now it's a personal visit. I was wondering what the people who know about these things have to say about it. So I really don't know whether...
Right, so say that again. The police came round because...
No, not the police. Not the police. Someone from the council.
Right, came round. So right. Explain it again. Sorry, Steve. Go on.
Sorry, I probably wasn't being clear. There's a knock on the door, and they wanted to speak to Stitch's son, saying because he had 3 opportunities to register onto the electoral roll, and because he hadn't acknowledged any of them, it was now a personal visit was happening, and there he was standing at the door. I told him that we needed time to think about it, and just sent him on his way, basically. But I don't know what the ins and outs are. Is this trouble or something?
To be honest, I wasn't on the electoral roll for about 7 years at one point, and I never had a visit from anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Did this person show ID or?
Yeah. Well, I didn't examine it, but he had ID there to show me because I'm wearing it. Like,
he didn't tell you his name, though, would he?
No, he would. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I know his name. Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I don't know of anyone that's had a visit. I might be, somebody might have had a visit, but I've never known of anybody that's had a visit because they've not been put on the electoral roll. I mean, Stitch's son could well have moved out, obviously, rather than still be there, or he could be in some kind of supported accommodation, or there's any number of reasons why he might not have registered on the electoral roll. But I've never heard of somebody coming out and asking why somebody hasn't registered. That's unusual to me.
I thought that too. I was, as well as that, I know there are a lot of people watching, and I thought some people might know about these things.
Right, God bless has just put, we had that, nothing to worry about. He just asked who lived here, then went. Nothing bad.
All right, nice one. Cheers, Simon.
But no. I mean, as I say, I've never heard. This is the first time I've ever heard of somebody getting a visit from it. Over that. To be quite honest, I'm afraid I can't be any more help than that. But I'd suggest recording the visit if they come back, obviously just for your own records.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just thought I'd ask, Dan. Nice one. I'll let you go because there are people even more interesting than me to come.
No worries. Nice to hear from you, though. And Stitch there in the background, giggling.
Yeah, as usual.
You all right, Dan?
Yeah, I'm not so bad. Not so bad, thank you.
Hello, Dan.
Okay. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. See you later, Dan.
Bye.
Bye.
Andy, who do you go to make a police complaint? It depends what the complaint is about. You could go to a brief, obviously, and get a brief to do the complaint for you, or you could, depending on what you want out of the complaint, or you could write to or contact their professional standards department. Not that that's fucking any good to do these days, but there we go. That's your two options: is to find a brief. If you want to complain, about a copper and follow up potential criminal charges, then go to a brief and let them deal with it. Other than that, if you want to make a complaint, you can, about how one of them maybe disrespected you or something like that, then you can do it through the professional standards department. The information for that will be on any of the force websites for the professional standards department, or it should be at least. Have a shot of whiskey, that will sort the sleep out. I can't drink whiskey, Sean. When I was 18, I got thrown out of college because I got rather drunk, and I went back to college from the pub at lunchtime, and I fell on top of some people sitting on a wall having a cigarette. Me and the guy that I went with ended up in the offices, like the lecturers' offices. And I said to the guy, Ian Linton, his name was, I said to him, does my breath smell of alcohol? And he said, yeah, fucking hell, it does. So I said, oh, have you got any deodorant I can spray to get rid of the smell? And he said, all I've got is this bottle of Jazz. Do you remember the Jazz aftershave, the black and white bottle? Well, I took the top off and I drank some Jazz to try and disguise the smell of alcohol on my breath. Within about 10 seconds, I was on my feet, stumbling through the offices to get to the toilet down the hallway. I put my hand on the handle to get into the toilets, and I threw up everywhere in the hallway. Anyway, I walked back to, and this was because I was drunk on whiskey. Okay, so I used to drink it, and I got absolutely hammered on whiskey. But then I'd done this bottle of Jazz, and I went back to the offices, sat down, and the lecturers come back in and said, "Right, so have you been drinking?" I was like, oh, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, have you just been sick? And I was like, no, what are you talking about being sick? She goes, well, what's that all down your top then? And I literally puked all over myself. And I tried to lie my way out of it, but I didn't. And I got booted out of college for it. On my way home, I collapsed outside somebody's house. Thankfully, they knew my parents. They called them. They called an ambulance. I had to go to hospital and get my stomach pumped. And that was all because of whiskey. Southern Comfort whiskey is what it was, and I've not been able to drink whiskey since then. Oh, that's a lie. I've drunk whiskey once since then, and that was 2015 Christmas. Feeling a bit down, so I drank a bottle of whiskey and fell asleep hugging the toilet. But yeah, interesting story for you there. Which one of the reasons I drink brandy. I'm not keen on vodka. Vodka burns too much, I think, on its way down. So I prefer brandy. I think it's got a much nicer taste to it. Hence why you always, or used to always, see me with a bottle of brandy on a live stream. So we've not had a call for a while. If nobody else is going to call in, then we'll open up to the panel. I'll leave that up to you guys. So if the phone rings, then we'll answer it. If it doesn't, then we'll go to the panel in a few minutes. So I'll leave that entirely up to you. Did the same, sat on a neighbour's wall, singing shite. I have fell asleep in a few gardens, not sat on the wall. Well, I may have sat on the wall and then fallen backwards into the bushes and then woke up in the morning. but my singing's terrible. You must have heard me sing "Happy Birthday" a few times on here, and it was terrible. So yeah, my singing's never been very good. Get rid of that. Delete, remove. Yeah, remove that. Okay. What we're going to do then, folks? Audio, video. Turn the volume on that down. Is we're going to knock the calls on the head. We've not had a call for a good few minutes now, so we're going to knock that on the head, and we will get the panel open. I'm a swinger. Hello, Kaylee Connolly. Good evening. Time and Tide. There's a few people I've not said hello to, so I do apologise if you're one of those people. And I'm not apologising in case I've hurt your feelings by not saying hello, because I don't care about feelings. I'm just saying it because I'm an ultra polite person. So right, I'm gonna pop you on hold just for a moment. I'm gonna go make myself another coffee. I will literally, as always, be a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then when I come back, I will be going live with a panel. I will just drop the link into the comments, so whoever's sitting in the back room before me, not that polite, obviously. You better get better at singing, because I expect you to sing "Happy Birthday" to me next week's live stream. Fuck off. Fuck off. Ain't you got enough people to sing your happy birthday? Fucking hell. Come here and bug me for it. Right, okay. So, guys, there's a link. I will pin it. And I will, oh, bloody hell, be right back screen. There we go. And I will be right back in just a minute or two.
You are watching the Police Abusing Powers channel. Your host, Dan, is currently taking a comfort break and will be back momentarily. Your patience is appreciated. Please check the video description for channel social media links, where we share alternative content, not necessarily in video format. Did you know, contrary to popular belief, it is not legal for a pregnant woman to urinate into a police constable's helmet, unless, of course, their head is on fire. Due to the nature of the content and limits YouTube place on freedom of speech, your support is important. There are ways you can support the channel listed in the description.
I've literally just sat down on my chair and pulled a bit of the armrest off. I don't know how that fucking happened. Oh well, I need a new fucking chair is what I need. Right, Roger, Simon, I know that's both you because you reacted to what I just said then, so I don't need you to do anything silly. Although I could get you to do something silly for my own enjoyment. Oh, Roger.
Oh, mate, that bloody chair was falling apart last time I was up there.
I know that. To be honest, well, one of the arms of the legs is no longer on the side; it's actually in between my legs, which is really weird to try and imagine that the arm is still attached to the chair, but it's now in between my legs, and the other arm now has about an inch square of foam on it.
So
And
if you want to rest your arms, then the rest of the stream's going to be like a game of fucking Twister, isn't it?
like that. To be honest, I just use the arm in between my legs to rest my cock on these days. Hi, Rev. Rev's thinking, should I be you, or should I just, my camera's not working. I'm off.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, how are you?
I'm okay. I've been a bit. I've had a bit of a fucking
one chair arm short of being comfortable.
Yeah. I've had a bit of a black dog day today.
Can I ask, right? Because I get it, obviously, right? You got to the point where you didn't want to do the live stream, right? Clearly, right? Because that's how the black dog works, right? But you managed to do the black dog. Now, at which point, or has it yet got any better? Or is it one of those things that you just will ride this out and it'll be all right later?
To be honest, coming on here allows me to. I'm talking to other people, and it stops me thinking about what's going on up here.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always work. Sometimes I'll get to a point of no return before I come on here. At the moment, my head just feels detached from my body. At the moment, it has done for the last few days. I really, to be honest, I really didn't want to come on here today, but I made a decision. I thought if I make the decision and I tell people I've made a decision, then I have to do it. So I kind of forced myself into coming on here rather than.
There's something you should know here. I was going to ask you, could I do a live stream tonight? Because I wanted to, but I thought I'd better not. Right. Because obviously you do it tonight usually, and I'm not going to step on your toes because it's your crowd, right? But there was something like, shall I ask? And I just thought, no, don't do it. Now, isn't it strange that basically, if you hadn't done it, you would have sunk worse into your black dog. And basically, by doing your thing, you've dragged your ass out. Isn't it strange how we're all funnily connected through some way or another? It was like, no, don't do it, Ref. Leave the man to it.
Yeah, but it's so you know. Roger's been through this as well. I know because we've spoken about this. But it's so, that voice in your head is so fucking persuasive and so loud.
Horrible.
How
hard a person is. That'll kill them if you're there.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter how many people tell you otherwise. That voice in your head will find a way of discrediting everything that they've said. So I just, as I say, I just made a decision. I just thought, if I say I'm doing it, I have to do it. But even if it's only for an hour, so I could have come on here. If I'd have felt myself getting worse, I'd have just gone, look, guys, I can't do this anymore. For one reason or another, and I've done that before in the past.
I did it a couple of weeks back on one of the Fridays. My eyes were starting to go, and I was getting a bit fuzzy. I just look, guys, it's early, but I've got to shut down. I just can't carry on now. Yeah. I couldn't even see the chat,
Well, I got to understand. If you actually got this far, you'd not do better. The black dog can really fuck you.
Yeah. As I say, my head just feels detached from my body. Which is a hard thing to explain to people that haven't experienced it. It's almost like, I'll tell you what it's like. It's like when I don't take my medication. I know some people are going to go, well, you shouldn't take medication, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. That's opinion. If I don't take certain medication, and it's only because I'm on it that I have to continue taking it, it feels like my brain is detached from everything in my head. And when I turn my head, it feels like my brain stays looking one direction and then slowly turns. It's like getting a cup of tea, twisting it by the handle. The cup will move, and then slowly the tea will move inside. It's like that. But
it's very unnerving when you turn and your brain don't, and you're looking through your ears. Yeah. But I do know exactly what you mean, mate. I mean, I've done it on yours, haven't I, where I've had to say, I've got to quit now. I can't function.
The black dog, who just asked that? Rob say, can you explain black dog, please? Well, you're the one that uses that term more than I do, Rev. So I'll explain.
Okay,
that one.
2 seconds. Let me finish it.
Is that bacon?
Eat pizza by the looks of it.
The worst, cheapest, shittest pizza I could fucking possibly buy. And we're loving it. Right, back off. Right. Who is it asked it? And I want to ask him some questions. So I want 1s and 2s in the comments, right?
Yep, go for it.
To the person that asked it, have you ever suffered depression? And this is not a demeaning like this is just, I just need to know whether you felt it or not, because it will save me explaining a lot. But if you have not felt it, press 1. If you felt it, press 2.
But if you haven't felt depression, press 1. If you have had depression, press 2.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for clearing that up. Shit. Anyway, right. So briefly speaking, what happens with depression? It comes on very slowly, and what it does is it asks you to just not go out with the lads tonight, or to take the girlfriend's comments badly when you really shouldn't have done, or to look upon yourself as less than you would have done the day before, or to doubt yourself, and it grows. Gets to the points where I don't feel like going out, but you get talked into going out, right? And when you go out, you'll drink harder than you did before because you're feeling worse. And then when you do, you go up, right? And you're the life inside the pie, like whatever. But in the morning, you'll crash really hard. And when you crash really hard, you'll start looking at yourself as, what was the point? What did they look at you as? You must have embarrassed yourself. All these doubtful questions. Anyway, this will go on and it will cycle. So imagine like a wave. The top of the wave is when you're doing all right, and on the back end of the wave is when you're going downhill again. Now, there are some times when you'll get a double dip. Dan will know what this is. Basically, you won't just feel depressed, you'll feel fucking biblically depressed. There's no answering, there's no understanding of it, right? And it basically wants to kill you at this point, right? Your mind is so you can't think about anything else, right? And in my case, personally, when I had it, all I wanted to do was stay under the bed covers. I couldn't go outside the bedroom. I felt so inadequate, so terrible. So everybody must feel awful about me because I do. And if they're not saying it to me, they must be thinking it, right? And I wanted to stay away from everybody, and I wanted to lock myself away. And I thought that if I could just lock myself away under that duvet, that tomorrow might be better, but just not today. And it gets worse. And it gets to the point where it wants to kill you, right? And you think about suicide. Most people don't, but some people do. And I did. And the only thing that saves you is the closest thing to you, which was in my case, my daughter. I thought I couldn't put her through it, but that was the only thing. But the black dog is the thing that's always looking at you, making you doubt yourself. Looking at you going, nah, they're judging you over there. They really do think you're a bit of a cunt, right? And you look at the dog going, why? I haven't done anything. And the dog's looking at you going, of course they will. And the dog is the permanent doubt in the mind. The one that kicks you in the bollocks just when you're starting to get some leeway, right? If you're going to go and sing, the dog goes before you get up and sing, you ain't that good, right? It's the permanent pullback. It's the doubt that you have, the whole consummate fucking awfulness, right? And the thing is that some of us actually have some talent and skills, right? Now, before we think we're arrogant, we don't see that. The dog takes that away from us. So we might be able to sing, we might be able to do maths, we might be able to do YouTube, we might be able to do all sorts of things, but we're drowned by this dog that's telling us the whole time that we're shit, that we're no good, nobody really likes us, and we're a burden on everybody, and wouldn't life be better without you? That's the dog, right? Now, sometimes you can give the dog a good kick in the cunt. In my case, I started to get in control of my finances, and then I got in control of the work, and then I slowed down my drinking, although not today, right? Anyway, I learned to get control of myself, right? And the dog's going, you're not capable of controlling yourself. You're a fucking waster. Anyway, you do get control, and the dog starts to go further back behind you. You don't see it so much. You don't feel it so much. Then some days, all of a sudden, that dog's on you, and you're like, where the fuck did you come from? There's no rhyme or reason, but the dog's there. Yeah. And then just like that, as you're really suffering with the dog's just gone. You're like, that didn't make any sense either. And that's how it works. And then you become better at controlling your emotions and your depression and stuff. And then the dog comes less. but it does come.
That
So-
and the worst thing is, as you said quite rightly, where it comes from nowhere, no rhyme or reason. It's like you'll wake up in the morning and that cunt is panting in your face there, and it's like that all day long, just in your face, just going, "You're shit, mate."
I had it the other day, and all I wanted to do was I was like, I want to kill myself, and I realised that it was just the worst case of the black dog, and that it wasn't alcohol that brought it on. It wasn't anything else. It was just it came overnight, and it was really hard. And because people like Dan and me and Roger here have suffered this for fucking years, we see it and you're like, oh, it's just you again, you cunt. And it's doing its best. And we're like, seen you before. No, but I'm for real this time. No, you're not. And in about 24 hours or maybe 48 hours, you'll fuck off. And my life will still be here. And you haven't ruined me. And that's how it's got to be. And you beat this fucking thing by telling it that I don't care how hard you are at the moment, you will vanish. And I'll still be left with a life. And I'll still have a daughter that loves me. I'll still have friends that like me. I still have a job that's going on. And I still have a thing to do here. Fuck off.
I'm just going to bring Jack up. If Jack can give me a little wave just to prove it's Jack. Hi.
All right, Jack.
How you doing?
How about you?
Getting there. Can you show my last? Hang on a minute. Let's find it. What last? Your last comment I can see says I put a link above that explains it.
Exactly, Dave. I've always said that I never had any mental health issues. The last few years has proved me wrong quite a few times.
I don't believe that the people are weak because they have a bad time. I believe it's a stage in their life that they go through, and I think all of this adds to the building of your spirit. You know, if everybody had a walk through the park, then your spirit would never be tested.
The thing with me, Shai, is I led quite an eventful life, as you know, and I never had time to consider stuff like that. It's only since I've slowed down in later life and think about what I've done with life, what I'm doing with life now, that I realise, I have had a few issues along the way.
Hmm.
You know, and I've openly admitted that to people before. You know, I ain't got any head problems, but yeah.
I've got to be honest. I think that the people that don't suffer with depression just don't have any concept of what they're living through or what's around them.
No.
And I think it's many people
out
with
there to make you depressed, even a normal, rational thinking person, you know.
Empathy. Yeah. So you can see that things around you aren't as they're meant to be, and people are suffering, and there's a lot of bad, right? And what you'll do is, because you're one of these people that feel sorry for, and who here was interested in the Titanic? I'm going to use this as a bit of an off one here, but who thought the Titanic was interesting? Anybody?
What, the film or the boat?
The actual whole thing of it, while that boat went down and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it was.
For me, my interest was how so many of that first class, second class, third class all went down together, how they broke classes, how there was no hope and they knew it, and how the men stood aside to drown, and the whole empathy of that whole thing. That was what got to me more than the actual metal of the boat going down. Shipwrecks happen all the time, but it was the tragedy of it all. And there are people that can understand and feel tragedy more than others, and there are people that can understand feelings more than others. And if you're a person who has empathy and can understand other people's feelings, you're more prone to depression, whether you like it or not. The village idiot will never understand depression because he has no idea about the situation he's in. People who understand. Go on.
So, imagine having that empathy. Imagine being able to feel, but also having emotionally unstable personality disorder, where you don't know how to deal with those feelings. That's what I have, and that's what makes it worse for me. So, and I'm not suggesting that I'm worse than anybody else, by the way, but that's what makes it worse for me personally, is when I'm unsure how to deal with certain feelings or certain situations and how I'm supposed to feel during those situations. I remember an ex-girlfriend, her dog died. I mean, the back leg went, and it was Christmas time. The back legs went. We had to take it to the vet. Vet said no. There's nothing we can do. But we'll give it a week and see if there's any kind of improvement. Took the dog home for a week. Couldn't walk or anything, so it needed carrying everywhere. Following week, we took it back to the vet, and the vet said, "No, I'm sorry. The best thing to do is going to be to put the dog down." Now, I've been with her for several years, been around that dog for several years, and I fucking love dogs, right? But when we had to go in and put to sleep, her friend and her son are all crying, and I'm there going, "Why the fuck are you crying? Stop making me look a cunt in front of the vet," And it's not because I wanted to, but it's not because I was being heartless. It's just because sometimes I find it difficult.
But also, let's just get this done. Nobody wants to kill an animal, but nobody wants an animal to suffer. Let's just get this done. We can fucking weep and cry and shit later.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's genuinely hard. I don't know if anybody else watching this has got.
My dad was tough. Never cried. Never saw him cry. Never saw him upset. Never saw him feel sorry for himself. Took a little cat. He put down.
My dad's the same.
The guy wailed.
My dad's the same. He won't cry. He cries out the way of everyone else. He cries on his own, in a room or whatever. He won't cry around us. It's rare that I cry, but I mean, I don't know if it's just men. I don't know if it's just men. If it's just men tend to be more stronger than these women. Like feelings anyway.
It's nothing to do with that, Jack.
It's men.
I've started crying lately, right? But I look at really nice stuff, with a happy ending and stuff. I'll watch that, and then I can feel what they're feeling, which is exactly what you're supposed to get anyway. And I'll have a tear. I'll go, "That's lovely," and that makes me realize I'm still a fucking human.
Yeah,
because I can associate with what they're going through.
Yeah, but
when girls put on a tearjerker, right? And we were like, in the old days, we were like, "Why are you doing that, you stupid cow?" I now get it.
Isn't a tearjerker when they're squeezing too tight?
You need some feel good in your life.
There's so many answers to that. Nah. But it is true.
I think I'm always happy.
I've got to be honest. When you watch a really happy ending, you're like, "And that's fucking lovely." And I wish that for me. And if you can empathize with them, that's the other side. When you can empathize with that, how their happiness is, and you go, "But I don't have that right now," that can send you downhill again, right? And make you feel depressed, right? But you have to understand that you are exactly where you need to be right now. And this is where most of us don't get this, right? I look around and I go, "This is a big flat. I could do with a cuddle in the morning sometimes." But the other part of me goes, most of the time you don't need a woman around you. You're not really looking to get laid. You don't need another person for anything else. And you really treasure your peace and quiet. Do you need a woman, or do you think you have to have a woman because that's what's socially expected of you?
Well, Rev, you're going to need a woman in the house on the 13th because we're going to need someone to do the washing up.
No, we got some women. We have some women, but they're not my women, so they can go back after the day's done. No, we have. I've got quite a few people coming. Most of them,
Oh, yeah.
So, so I'm thinking, you remember the old days where we did this here, right? Well, I'm going to set up, the other computer that I've got with the other thing deck, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to set that up in the back room. So when they're not here, they can be muttering, they can be live on air or whatever it is. And we'll have them, and then we'll have a few there. And, yes. Sleeping might be a problem, but I think you just fucking sleep where you fall.
I was going to say that. It's obviously not my room for
you fall over.
Well, to be honest, I'm probably going to sleep out in a van, as I'd always planned to do in the first place, and somebody can have my fucking bed and fuck off, innit? So, or there might be 3 of you on the bed. So it really is.
At which point you get the camera out.
It isn't. It was never and will never be one of those places. It's just there's no sex here. It's just pure fucking.
You did say there's going to be a few women, so I don't mind. I'll put myself out.
You're going to struggle, are you?
Yeah, with the women, I don't mind.
That's what I like about you, Pap. You're going to work your way through it. You're going to struggle through. But anyway, yeah, there'll be a few, and some probably neighbours will pop up.
Increase your body count.
I don't think your neighbours will have a choice with that many people in your house. They'll have to either come in or stay up all night anyway.
They'll just be invited Sorry.
Just be a massive
But
orgy or something.
it was fine last time, wasn't it? So, you know.
Oh, yeah. There was no issues last time.
That'd be fine. Do you remember that neighbour that popped down? That was like, he's one of them. Did he pop down when you? Anyway, one of my neighbours just gate crashed the place, and he had a whole variety selection box of happiness. But anyway,
that was the second day. Then that wasn't when. Yeah, that wasn't the day that I was down.
So we're gonna get Bostock as well. Don't worry, that'll be sorted this time. But we're going to get Bostock down, and Bostock cannot be given drink. By the way, if anybody's watching this, right, do not feed Bostock alcohol. He doesn't do alcohol. What he does do is fall asleep or end up puking up. So we're just going to let him have
He
cigarettes.
does do alcohol, just not very well.
It was terrible. Poor bastard. So yeah.
No, I'm looking
Lessons
forward.
were learned.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be
I
nice to see.
don't drink, so
It'll be. I mean, the good thing about it as well is I was able, because there was quite a few people there last. Well, half a dozen people there last time. And if it's too much, I can just go out the front, get some air and whatnot, which is handy.
Sit in the front. We'll set the van up as well, so people can just go in there and lie down. But also, my bedroom will be, if somebody just wants to fuck off, just go in there and shut the door. But I was thinking you get here a day early and just get your head down.
Let's go on the front and keep out.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long. I mean, I won't be coming down from Liverpool. I'll be coming across from Essex, which is still a bit of a mission. But yeah. So
you may even come up through Bath on your way to Bristol and through. So that's quite it's going to be pretty.
I'll get there.
Yeah. So it's all good. So, yes.
Fucking hell. So Jack, just changing subject briefly. How are you, mate? We haven't seen you for a while.
Well, a lot's been going on, I guess. Stressed out more than anything. And you mentioned depression. I mean, it started to bring something home. And I mean, I'm quite embarrassed to say it, but I've been doing what I've been doing, looking after my mum for about 4 years now, and the amount of work it takes, on top of the stress I'm getting from my parents and my younger brother as well, doesn't help. I mean, I'm not exactly.
Listen, don't be embarrassed about it. Listen, I come on here, and, when I tell people how I feel when I'm down and all that stuff, and everyone knows what I go through on here. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You're embarrassed. That's that black dog, as Rev was talking about. That's that dog sitting there going, they don't want to fucking hear it. They think you're a cunt, blah, blah, blah.
They do, actually, because they're all going through it as well.
Yeah.
I've explained to them what I'm going through, and it's always because because my mother, because obviously she's the main priority in the household because of the conditions and stuff that she's got, right? But whenever I seem to talk about myself, she always turns it on her and says, well, how do you think I feel? This, that, right?
But how long has your mum been isolated for?
Isolated? What do you mean?
I mean, how often does she go out?
Rarely.
Right. What happens when people don't go out and mingle much? They become more focused on themselves. It's not particular to your mum. It's a standard thing. And what they'll do is they'll focus on their misery because they are suffering, by the way. In the old days, right, say, for instance, I would go out, I would have 15 mates I would see over the course of the night would mention something about me, and I'd be validated, or I would feel, they understood, whatever. She's not going anywhere, and she's not getting that. So, and she's suffering. So, she wants you to realize she's suffering, and also it'll become a chain and self-fulfilling, and she'll get worse. That's natural. Because when you used to look at it, in my case, I used to look at my nan. Why is she more focused about herself? Why does she talk about herself more? She's not a selfish woman, but why is she doing that? And it is part of the thing. So, yeah.
Well, I know she talks about herself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But obviously, when I mean, it's not all the time that I talk about myself, because I'm putting all my focus into my mum and that. But when I do talk about myself, and I'm like, well, you know, I mean, the environment that I'm always in is quite stressful anyway. Not necessarily just with my parents, could be my younger brother causing an argument. It can be anything, but
Is she? I mean, is she northern?
No.
Right, I don't know where you're from. The
East
thing
Med.
about old people is they went through a lot worse than we did.
Yeah.
So when we think that we're going through bad times now, and they are bad in comparison to other people who are having good times,
Yeah.
the older people look at it and go, well, my dad got fucking bombed during the war. What the fuck are you on about?
Yeah.
They've been through worse.
Yeah.
So they won't validate you as much. And when you're telling them about how bad your day's going, they're looking at you going, we've been through worse. And they have. But time's moved on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You think about this, Jack. Now, you look at all the ways that you can reach out to people when you've got these problems, like platforms like this, helplines, this, that, and the other. We never had nothing like that in my day.
Yeah.
If you wanted to call somebody, you had to walk a bloody mile and have enough money to keep feeding a phone.
There used to be violent people that we couldn't understand why they were such a bunch of cunts and why they triggered off alcohol like vodka or Stella. And every time they got drunk, they turned into wankers. Turns out in the end that they'd either been abused, they'd been through all sorts of stuff and they couldn't resolve it, and alcohol brought out the worst of them. But that was before people got treated for PTSD, mental health problems, etc., etc. Now they get treated for it. There's a lot less people that after a load of beer turn into a bunch of cunts. I'm still here and I'm available for any fucking bar mitzvah or whatever you want. But no, in the old days, I used to be a thug. I'd have enough to drink and then I just wanted to be bad because I didn't know how to control myself. Once we get to grips with that and we iron out our problems, then we don't do that again. But your family, your older family, were part of the generation that probably never resolved their problems. And also, if they're going through a lot of pain, then they're going to think that you don't understand and you can't feel it.
Yeah.
You're also isolated as well, Jack, a lot of the time from my point of view, because you're there a lot. You have a lot to do with that, a lot to deal with at home. So your social life is put on hold in many cases, and that isolates you as well.
Yeah, and I've explained this to Mom, and the thing is, it was my choice 4 years ago. It was my choice to take upon caring for her on a full-time basis, because if I hadn't
break, Jack, that's the thing, and this is what maybe your dad and your brother need to understand, right? Just if you're doing full-time caring for your mum, you need a break as well.
Yep,
I do.
They used to set up camps.
I've told him this before.
I do get, like, let's just say for argument's sake, there's a day where my brother's off work, right? And I mean, just use that for example. There will be a day where I will get most of the day to myself, and I'll be upstairs on the computer, just relaxing, right? And I think that's all right, but I think the problem is because my dad works and my brother works. My dad's full time, my brother's part time. You know, I'm the one staying downstairs most of the day. In fact, I'd say, hold on, let's think.
So you're full time?
10 to 12 hours a day, most of the time.
That's more than
Not
a
every
full-time
day.
job, mate.
Yeah.
And
although I may not necessarily, I mean, there might be days where I won't have to do a lot. Maybe there might not be. I mean, the basic stuff like washing, cleaning, all this, the things that anyone would do in a day, right? Might not be a lot of stuff, but considering, I mean, yeah, I get bored quite quickly, but that's just me anyway. I get bored a lot of the times, you know, because I mean, really, the only sort of entertainment I actually get is the computer. But recently, in fact, for the past, I'd say month, probably even longer, I've not really been finding not the time to go on the computer. I've had the time, but by the end of the day, I'm shattered. Like, I just think to myself, right, I just want to go to bed, you know? And the thing is, I've explained this to mum, explained it to dad, explained it to my brother, you know, and all I ever get is tough, you know, such as life, tough kind of thing, you know, it is what it is. That's all I've been getting. And I think to myself, well, if you was in my position, you'd understand what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, but you're not, right? And I said, without me, this house wouldn't be a thing because you wouldn't be able to afford the bills. And it's not like I'm threatening or anything like that, but it's true, because if my dad stopped work, he wouldn't be able to support this household. I mean, we're struggling-ish as it is, but he wouldn't be able to support this household, and we would not be able to live off of benefits alone. So I chip in, my brother chips in, my mum chips in what she gets, and my dad obviously chips in for his income that he gets, right? So we're all chipping in, but it's just like sometimes I don't really think they understand of what I'm actually doing for my mum and what I'm doing every single day, or almost every single day, and giving them money at every month. And it's like they always say, oh, I'm pushing it back in their face, but they wonder why I get so angry and frustrated and stressed out.
I think it's because they've never had to do what you're doing at the moment. Remember, you're
No,
young.
they haven't.
Well,
No, they
you've
haven't. You're absolutely right.
I think Holly put it there. You're struggling to navigate through life yourself at your age. Do you know what I mean? And you've not only got that to deal with, but you've also got the home life, shall we call it, to deal with as well. And other people don't understand that. You know, when I went down to see my parents last month or month before, I knew that my sister had been helping my mum. Now, my mum's not. I mean, she's getting on, right, and she's got some things wrong with her, which I'm not going to go into on here. But she has a she's got bad circulation in her legs. Cat scratched her months and months ago, right, and it won't heal because there's not enough blood going through her leg in order for this to heal. It's got worse. She's now got a crater on her leg, right. And I know that my sister's goes round on a daily basis to help my mum to clean her leg up, put a new bandage on it, etc. When I was there, I was doing all of that, and I mean, I didn't mind doing it because I will do what as you, Jack. You do what you need to do for your parents, right? I'm sure that if I had to do that kind of stuff and more, there would get to a point where I would go, for fuck's sake, why am I, why is it always me doing this? Why is nobody else helping?
That's exactly what I say to everyone. That's exactly what I say. That is my favorite term to them. Why is it always me? Why am I doing it? Why can't my brother do it? Right? Because a lot of the times my brother can do things, but it's like, for example, he'll come in from work, right? It may not necessarily be too late, and what I'll get from my mum is, oh, he's just come home from work, let him have a break or whatever. What he'll do is he'll go upstairs on the Xbox, and I'll think to myself, hold on a minute, I understand that my brother's been at work as well, but I've been down here all bloody day looking after mum, and it's not like I'm watching her like a hawk 24/7, if you get what I mean, like physically staring at her, making sure that she's all right, but theoretically, well, just watching her, making sure she's all right, making her food, doing all the stuff around the house, anything that needs to be done, the basics, right? So it's not like I'm expected to do lots of things. There will be things that I do off of my own back that maybe my mum won't ask me to do, but I don't think that any of them actually realize how. And I mentioned this in the past on many occasions, and you might remember, you might not, but my mum always used to compare, and she's still doing it. She's always comparing me to my granddad, right? My granddad is looking after my nana who has dementia, and I said, and I keep saying to my mum, and it's not changed. What has that got to do with me? I'm not caring for someone that has dementia. You do not have dementia. My nana does. I am not granddad. I am me. So let's stop talking about my granddad. Let's stop talking about my nana because it's got nothing to do with me. I'm caring for you, not caring for my nana, right? Two completely different circumstances. Her needs are far more different than my mum's. In fact, I would argue that my nana's needs are a lot, there are a lot more that goes into it than my mum, because of all the stress that my family's been through, because everything revolving around my nana. So, and I shut mum down on it all the time, and my mum doesn't like it. Then my dad gets involved and tells me off because I'm just being truthful. Then I get my brother moaning at me. So it's like it's like I'm always being ganged up on. But then they're always like, well, you're not being ganged up on. It's just in your head. It's just in your head. It's just you thinking that, So, but
Simon, you look like you wanted to say something a moment ago.
Yes, I'm dying here. I need some sleep. I've not had much today at all. I don't want to be rude, but I'm going to fucking fall asleep, right, regardless of the topic of conversation.
Have a good night, Simon.
I've got to die somewhere. So thanks for having me on, but I've literally run out of batteries. All right.
Have a good night, Simon.
Take care, buddy.
See you later. So it is what it is. That's what's going on at the moment. As much as I don't want it to,
Jack, have you thought any more about what we've said before about organising so you can get a break, get a week away at least, or something like that? Because even support services and that should, with what you've been doing and the hours you do, they should be able to help you put something in place for that, for at least a week where you can go away, clear your head, get away from it all, and just be yourself and do what you want to do.
If you were on your own, it would be called respite. But
respite, yeah.
That break.
Yeah.
The thing is with that though, I mean, that then puts a lot of questions in my head. Well, what would I do? Because I'm not the type of person that goes out anywhere.
No, it doesn't matter what you do. Just spend time, mate. You just spend time with yourself if you need to.
Yeah.
A week's downtime on the computer, the ability to say no.
I mean, Heather just said a week on the computer, but to me personally, I would say you've got to get away from the house for a week.
Yeah.
Maybe take a laptop with you so you can still keep in touch with people. But
he needs to be able to create a space at home in his week, month, year that he can call his own. And he doesn't have to leave the house to not be pestered.
Yeah, but they'll keep pestering him.
Like that's going to happen, though, Mrs. W. That's I think
they'll keep pestering him.
The thing is, it's one of those cases where I've said this to my parents, right? And I think I mentioned it in the past on live streams on here. I've said that it feels like I'm in a prison that I can freely move around in. I can make my food whenever I want. I can do everything I want, pretty much. I can leave the house. I can open the door, but it's like I can't leave the house because I'm meant to be looking after my mum. Now, if someone's there,
you're stopping yourself then.
If I physically cannot, right? If I'm the only person at home with my mum, and I physically have to stay at home, then obviously I can't leave. But if someone else is there and they're downstairs looking after mum, watching her, like my mum or my dad, my brother or my dad, then I can go out to the shop. I could do whatever I want in theory, and no one would necessarily have an issue with it unless I get like 50,000 tasks to do, like I always seem to do. Hoovering and mopping, by the way, just pointing this out.
That is a brilliant idea, what Holly's just put up.
What?
Get your own place, go there during the day, do what you do, and when the others come home, you go to your own place. Your day's done. It's up to them then. That is a brilliant idea, Holly. That's you could do it.
Say you want to do a course so that you can get a qualification, so that you can get a job. so that you can earn some money, and you need time available to be able to do that. So when your brother's home and when your dad's home, you need that time off.
Yeah. See, funny enough, I actually have been looking for jobs as well. I have been looking for jobs, either part time or full time. And
I think there's a lot of things that you could say or do, but I think that from what you've told us and what we know, your family would find a reason to argue against you doing it.
Yeah.
Which would cause you stress as well, because you want to go and do something yourself, but then your family make you feel bad about it. This is that whole black dog thing, right? But instead of having a black dog, you've got your brother and your father, and they shouldn't be doing that to you anyway, because it's not fair.
But they're creating your barriers that you're putting in place and using.
Jack, you need to think about your future, because there
this is what I'm trying to figure out. But I spoke to this. I mentioned
there will come a time when you are not a carer for your mom. What are you going to do then?
I know this is what I've been thinking about. You say I've been thinking
You need
about.
to ask your parents what they would expect you to be doing. When mom's not there, what does she want her son to be doing? Earning a living. Because hopefully she's with us for a fair few years. But you need the ability to be able to earn your own money. And still be there for a
certainly getting certain benefits for caring is not enough, considering what I get, and I put quite a large portion.
If all of you were working part-time, it would help the household, but it would give you a career when mom passes, or later on when your brother wants to do some of it, or your dad could stop work because you went out to work. There's all sorts of options, but not if you don't get yourself into a situation where you can go out and earn money.
So
dig your own grave, love.
So yesterday, I mean, I've explained it so many times to them, and it's like at this point, it's just I'm a broken record. But all I ever get from mum, I've said to them, right, I'm just sick and tired of getting stressed out from everyone, from Jacob bossing me around, and he does boss me about. But the thing is, his excuse is he needs to boss me around so I don't forget and all this jargon, right? And I think to myself, well, it's weird, it's crazy. And I know it's just petty nonsense, but how can I be expected to do something, right? If I'm being told to do something by my younger brother, but then when I ask him to do something, he doesn't do it. He doesn't do what I ask him. So it's kind of I've said to him yesterday, it's a two-way street. If you ask me to do something and I do it, and then I ask you to do something and you don't do it, then you're not holding up your end of the bargain. So it's like, well, to me, it's just not right. And well, we agreed, but whether or not if he sticks to that agreement is a different thing. And I did explain yesterday about, like I said, I mean, I've been doing caring for 4 years, right? And according to mum, now mum is the one that mum is the one that gives out the most appreciation for what I do. Now, my dad, I don't really hear. My dad's the person that tends to keep himself to himself. He doesn't really, because of the way he's been brought up, and this is the excuse that he uses a lot. He was a violent person, not in the way you probably think, but he was a bit of he was brought up in a family regarding violence, a family that did a lot of violent things when he was younger.
He was around violence. He was growing up.
Yeah. His dad used to, well, obviously times have changed now, but he has kind of carried it over. But although he's never hit us, which is good, he hasn't done that. But a lot of the things that he used to do, he doesn't do anymore. Because he's getting a lot older, and also he cut that out of himself.
But the point is, Jack, you shouldn't have to work 7 days a week. You should at least get 1 day off.
Well, it's like Saturday or Sunday, right? It's like yesterday. What happened yesterday? Yesterday, I did actually have most of the day to myself, upstairs, without being harassed, annoyed, pestered, and it was actually lovely. But then I had to come downstairs about 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening because my dad wanted to go out, and my brother had come back home from work, and I had to stay downstairs and sleep downstairs until my brother had come back home. I didn't wake up. In fact, no. My dad didn't get back from his brothers till about 11 o'clock, and I effectively slept downstairs. I had no choice. My mum didn't want to let my brother stay downstairs because apparently he'd come home from work, so that gives him the right to stay down, just to go upstairs. My sleep was messed up this morning. I didn't get a lot of sleep because I don't know why, but I couldn't sleep sitting in a bloody what's it? Not an armchair. It's just a single seater sofa. It's a single seater, but I couldn't sleep. It was crap. As much as that would be a good idea, I don't think it would work. Because my brother's work schedule is always fluctuating. Although,
but does he know does he know his hours each week?
He does, and it's a good point actually, because I was thinking about talking to him about his because obviously it's always fluctuating, it's always changing. The annoying thing is,
week. I presume. Sorry to interrupt. I presume it would change week on week. So the next week he wouldn't be working hours as this week.
One of the problems is as well. Sorry to interrupt. Because he's a manager, my younger brother is a manager. It also makes it a lot more difficult for him because, and this is where my dad has been telling my brother off here, not for his sake, as not because he's also being treated as a pushover as well by his work, but his work have been trying to get him to come into work at unfair notice. They've not been giving him enough notice, and which they can't do that. They have to give him reasonable notice before they can come in. Also, his other bot managers that are higher than him have been taken sick, but haven't been telling him in advance. So he's having to take the time out of his day to come in. But he doesn't have to, because if he's got a day off, then he's not required to come in that day unless he's given enough notice and he's happy to come in. So I will speak to him about that, because that does sound like a good idea, and I would be willing to work with that. But as long as he can keep to that, is a good thing, because that would help me out. If Jacob can spend some time downstairs, or a bit more time downstairs with Mum, that way it gives me some time to myself. So I'm not. And I said yesterday, my head has been on fire pretty much.
Jack, even just 2 nights a week would do you the world of good. 2 nights off a week. You know, say when your brother gets in from work. I know, granted, he's been working, but so have you at home dealing with your mother. So for you to have, you know, just 2 nights a week would make a massive difference to you. You know, and some people have said in the comments as well, go for a walk, clear your head, get out of that space that you're stuck in, and just go and enjoy some nature or whatever. Do you know, a bit of breeze on your face every now and again. And it will do you good. There's me talking about this, and I find it difficult to do that stuff myself, but it does work. It is true. Jack, before you continue, I've got Tina, I think, in the background. Tina, just do that both hands for me. Oh, that's not
both hands.
Both hands for me. Sorry. My bad. Sorry.
Sorry, I started him off.
Hi, Jack. Hi, Roger. Hi, Mrs. W. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Tina.
How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. How are you, Tina?
Not too bad. A bit still, well, family, you know, shit with my mum and all that crap. Can I respond to Jack, please?
Of course you can.
Jack,
Yeah.
Right, you got me here?
Yeah, I'm still
Okay,
listening.
right. As a carer, you're entitled to what's called respite. Now, it's not what you think. A lot of people think that respite is when they take the person away. It's not. The respite can be provided by social services for free if they got less than 23,000 in the bank or whatever it is. But it's for you. It's for your care. So, have you done any training with the carer service?
No.
I recommend that you do get hold of the carer service because they give free training, Jack, and they make sure that you're okay too. So they'll check on you to make sure your health is good. But what that means with respite, they can actually put social services staff in for you to go somewhere nice for a week or do something for a weekend. It's really important you get that breakaway for your mental health. All right, you need to have that step away. But ring social services care line, the carers line, or there's a national carers group, and they'll put you in touch with a local carers service where you'll get lots and lots of training on how to deal with stuff. All right.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Something
Sound good?
definitely something to think about there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things I can try doing. I mean, I certainly will start with figuring out because my brother doesn't always tell me the days he goes to work, but at the same time, there are days where he'll have days off, and then they'll expect him to come in. But the thing is, he's not required to come in unless they give him enough. Because because he's a manager, it's a lot difficult for him because he's got to be there a lot more often. He's got to be there more often than he should be there. If he was just a regular employee, he wouldn't be required as much to come in. But at the same time, my parents have also told him off because there's been times where they haven't given him enough notice and they've asked him to come in, and he's kind of fallen for that trap and said, "Yes, I'll come in," when he should have said, "No, I'm busy," which on those particular days he would have been busy.
But if his work know that his mum is disabled,
that's exactly right. Yes.
On way, then they cannot make him go into work on his rota's days or times off.
It's funny you said that actually, because they know that he's that because we went to town one time and they know that she is disabled, so they've seen her before because I took her to town once. So they know that.
The brother's fault then, rather than saying I can't because my mum's not well and I've got to look after her. He's just saying yes for whatever reason.
The thing is as well, this is a really good point to mention. That's actually a really good thing to mention, because saying that, I never would have seen it that way. I know that they would have known, or they do know about it, because my brother talks about it to them a lot, or maybe not a lot, but basically he does mention it. But they do know, so it's not like they're naive or they're just completely disregarding it. So they know.
To make it firm with an employer, Jack, what your brother's got to do is go to the HR department of the company and literally write a letter explaining that he can only do his work hours. It's unfortunate. The actual contract he's got, he can't do occasional days outside of that because he's a carer for your mum. That's a human rights, and that's legislation. That's written in law that my brother works for a company for 3 days a week. He can't do any more than that while my mum's ill because he's part carer with my sister. They tried forcing him to do loads of work back along, and I sent him a letter to have a TUC rep level 2. So I sent them a letter saying you can't do this under this act, that act, and that act, and they said, "Oh, that's fair enough. We won't ask Phil then." Okay, so yeah,
I think one of the most difficult thing for me at the moment is I mean, I've been doing what I've been doing for 4 years, right? And I've noticed over 4 years, I have been slowly toppling, and I mean, my mum mentioned it yesterday, right? Now, and obviously when everyone here was talking about depression, right, it kind of brought close to home a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that I definitely am depressed or not, but considering how I've been feeling for quite a while now, my mum, at least, seems to think that I could be feeling depressed. I mean, I certainly am feeling a lot different than what I used to.
Jack, if your mum feels like you could be depressed, don't mean to be rude here, right? You know that I don't mean intention, but if your mum can see that, then she should be doing something about it as well. She shouldn't be allowing you to put yourself in that situation. She should be saying to
she
your
has
brother,
she has recommended me to speak to the doctors, and to
again, you don't need the doctor, Jack. What you need is your own. You need a break. Is what you need. I don't listen. I'm not
she doesn't see that. That's the thing. She doesn't see that. I've explained that to her. I've said I need a break. And the thing is, I mean, her argument of a break is me being on the computer for a few hours at night time. That's her break. That's my break, according to her, or according to my brother.
Have you asked her? You probably haven't, but have you asked her? This isn't really a question. This is more of a this is what she. But have you asked her if she would rather you be on pills or have a bit of time off now and again?
No, I haven't asked her that. No.
Would you rather me be on pills? You're saying to me go to the doctor, right? I know why I'm feeding the way that I'm feeding at the moment, but you're saying you'd rather me go to the doctor and get put on pills to stop me feeding like this so that I can continue doing nothing with my life. Or we can work this together as a family and I can have just 2 nights off a week, Mum. That's all I want. Or 1 day a week off, and I won't need to go on tablets because I can go and do my thing and I can be happy having my own time, And I again, don't mean to be rude or anything, Jack, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to your mum, but if she can see that you're looking down or feeling down or potentially depressed, then she should also be doing something about it, mate. Yeah. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I've put it in. I put it in the chat for you, Jack. It's carers.org. There's a website address there, and what they can do is give you local training. They also, with my sister, she used to go on holidays with the people she met through the system. They chat online, etc. And they'd organise like a week's holiday away, that kind of stuff, or day trips. It was building up her friendship outside of the house, which is what she needed. I think that would benefit you a great deal. If you could build up a rapport with these other people and start going out places, would be good.
I'm going to put that link into the main chat as well, Tina. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I never remember to do that.
If there's anybody else watching, carersuk.org is the link that Tina just gave us that can offer some.
It's not government. It's not government. It's not run by government. It's run by carers over the years. So they do a lot of work. They'll give you training on how to lift, how to do the pills, how to plan your day, plan out what you're going to do. But it's also about your mental health and your well-being because they know the pressure on carers. There are 8.2 million carers currently doing the work you do, doing the work my family's doing for our mum, who are not getting paid because they're earning too much. So they're getting, they have to do the care. So this is why, if there wasn't the carers of 8.2 million people, the NHS and the social services would collapse because they rely on these people to do this work.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Some people get paid, a lot of people can't. So what are you two laughing at?
Rod just said he uses E45 cream for the burns on his legs, and I just asked him if they were carpet burns.
God.
Not with my knees.
Get your head out the gutter. God.
Bearded, I tend to say that a lot. I do say, it's like there are things that, I mean, this is another thing that has still been happening sometime, or it's rarely, but it still does happen, and it annoys the hell out of me, right? We did have an agreement a while back, me and Mum did, where if someone was downstairs, right, and they could do something for Mum, like make a coffee for her, or what's a good example? It could be make a coffee. It could be clean the straws, because obviously my mum can't just drink normally. She's got to use straws to drink because it hurts the teeth. But I'm not sure what it is now. Trigeminal neuralgia, or it's something to do with the nerves or something like that affects the teeth, so it hurts. Something like that, like clean the straws, making a coffee, right? My dad will be downstairs, for example, and my brother will be downstairs, right? There'll be times when my dad can't be asked to get off the chair off of his chair and make one, and mum will ring me to come down the stairs and make it for both of them. And I think to myself, hold on a minute, Dad's downstairs. He can't be asked to make you or Dad one, you know. And then all I ever get from Dad is, you know, like sarcastic, thank you very much, or something stupid like that. And I think to myself, oh, stop being bloody childish. Stop being.
Refuse to make him one. Refuse to make him one, and just make your mum one. Say, well, you've got fucking 2 legs. You can walk out in the kitchen and make your own, mate.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going back upstairs now.
Yeah, the one thing. Yeah, that's right. The one thing my brother and sister did, Jack, was to basically set up a rota, okay? Because she does the mornings and he does the afternoons, and they work together in the evenings, but my mum goes to bed early. But yeah, they work together. They built a rota, they plan out their week, and they literally do things for my mum in different shifts. And that's what they've done. That's what you need to think about, is do the shift that you're able to do. When it comes to the evening, if they're downstairs with your mum, they have to look after her. You have to put your foot down, mate.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody sitting in the same room as some, like, for example, when I was down with my mum and I would, you know, I drink coffee fucking every, I make a coffee once the old one's gone normally, unless I'm on a live stream, because I'd be in and out like a fucking yo-yo. But normally when I was at my mum's, every time I wanted to make a drink, I was in the room, I would offer to make it. Okay. If I wasn't in the room and my mum wanted a drink, my dad would go and make it, or my mum would go and make it. Right. And that's what it's about. You cannot expect. I mean, how fucking disgusting is it to be sat in a room with somebody, for example, and then call somebody else into the room to go and make a drink when that person's capable of making it himself? That is lazy, mate. That is taking.
Yes, I know, and I've said that to Dad. It is lazy. Now, albeit it doesn't happen a lot with Jacob, because Jacob does get up and do it whenever Mum asks him to, whereas Dad, he won't a lot of the times. They'll get me to come down the stairs and make it, and I've told Mum no. I have told her in the past no. Go and get Dad to make it. Oh, but I'm trying to get him to. I mean, a lot of the times he'll be watching TV. I'm trying to get him to get up, but he won't do it. Okay, well, I'm not making it. And then what? And then if I say that, I'll get moaned at. So I can't win.
Get her a teas made, plonk it next to her, right? And every time she says she wants a cup of tea, all you've got to do is just go down there, fill up the thing with water, put it back, go back upstairs. There you go. Make it yourself now.
You're in a difficult situation, Jack. There's not a lot of young people that could take that on, mate. I'm telling you. So you should be proud of what you've accomplished so far. But promise me you're going to get in touch with that carers group. There's so much stuff they can do for you, mate.
Yeah. And certainly, what I will be saying, I will be speaking to, well, not really speaking to Dad about it, because to be honest, Dad doesn't really care about. I mean, he says he does, but he's one of those people that doesn't always show his feelings, right? A lot of the times I'll say, I know it might sound stupid, but does my dad love me? Because I mean, he is the one that gives me the most attitude. He causes problems that he doesn't need to. He says horrible things. Yeah, I can say horrible things, but when it comes from my dad, it's even worse. And so, I mean, in my opinion, a lot of the times he's a walking contradiction. He's a very hypocritical person. He does a lot of things that he tells us off, does it himself. So it's like, well, I know you're what, 50, whatever, but that doesn't mean that you can. I know it's your house, you can do what you want, but you moan at us for doing things that you do. So it's like, that doesn't make any sense, does it? If you're trying to set a good example, you're certainly not doing a good job.
Yeah.
And
I know what you're saying, Jack. It's very confusing when emotions run through. But if he's not helping his own wife, I agree with Dan. He should be doing more.
He does. I mean,
it sounds to me like you're apologising for him. And I'm not trying to be horrible. I'm not trying to be horrible. Please don't take this the wrong way. But you're saying Venus just said he should do more, and you're saying he does. He doesn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be feeling the way you're feeling. This isn't just for you. This is not just you making a big deal.
It's a knock-on effect, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a huge pressure to have. It's a huge pressure for you, Jack, at your age.
Well,
They
the
should
thing
be
is as well,
grateful with
when
what
Dad
you're
says,
doing.
you know, I have a lot of pressure and I have a lot of stress and, you know, I have a lot of pressure on my shoulders. I get what he's saying, but Dad also needs to understand from my perspective that he isn't the one looking after Mum. He's not the one looking after Mum every single day. He's the one at work having to do what he does, right? He doesn't look after Mum every single day. In fact, the only times he really gets to spend time with Mum is when he gets home.
And this could be
Yeah.
part of the problem, though, Jack. They're not seeing what you're doing during the day to help your
Yeah.
mum. So they think you're sitting at home doing fuck all day. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And they're out working. You know, maybe they see it that they're out working, grafting, and you're just sitting around at home. You know, and
Mum
whatnot.
is
But
the one that gives me most appreciation. I'll be honest. As much as Mum could be a pain in the ass, Mum is the one that gives me the most appreciation for what I do. Right? But Mum, a lot of the times now, sometimes it can just be me saying it, but a lot of the times it does happen where Jacob will do something, right? But then when I do it, or when I do something else wrong, it's like if Jacob causes an argument over something petty, something stupid, and then I'll be like, oh, and then I'll start, and then I'll go back at Jacob. Then I'm the problem from Mum's perspective
because you're the oldest. That's
because
why.
I'm the one that was because I'm the one that's shouting or whatever. And I think to myself, hold on a minute,
Yeah, but
Jacob
you're the
said something. Yeah,
you're the oldest. You should know
yeah.
better. Well, that's the way parents are thinking, right? You're the oldest, and you should know better than to bite to your little brother.
Yeah.
That's
But the
what
thing
it
is, as well, I say to Mum all the time, well, don't you think you should be telling Jacob off for the things that he's doing? And then all I get from my mum is, well, what's he done wrong? Do you get what I mean? So it's like, well, so basically she's saying that I'm the one in the wrong. Isn't if Jacob started it and Jacob said something unnecessary, he's the one who started it. I'm only going back at him for what he said. I'm not just going to stand there and act like a muppet and just not say anything. But then if I don't say anything, and then get moaned at by Jacob for not responding to him. So it's like I can't win. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But
it is difficult.
It's a
It's
constant
constant.
battle. I'll be honest, it's
Yeah.
a constant battle. I mean, it's like I was going to mention it earlier, but then we went down the whole rabbit hole. I think that was when you came in, Tina. Hoovering and mopping is one of the worst things that I have to do in the household because it's always a battle between me, my brother, and my mum. Always. Because my mum and my brother are very specific in how they want it done. My brother's so specific in which room gets done first, and I think, well, hold on a minute. Again, it sounds petty, right? It's petty nonsense, but I know I've got autism and that, and I can be
I was
quite.
just going to ask you that, Jack. With what you're going through with them, does it affect your autism in any way,
Yes.
or do you have to deal with that autism in a different way?
It does affect me, yes.
Yeah, that's why I asked, mate. You know me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because right, I do it in a very specific way. And again, it sounds petty, but I like to always do the rooms that you are least likely to access first, like the bathroom, then the kitchen, maybe the pantry where the shoes and the fridge and that is, right? And I tend to do the hallway leading out the hallway. You got the stairs and you got the front door. Do that second to last, and the living room gets done last because that is the biggest room and that's where everyone walks. So once that gets done, that's done. And then I can start putting things back in the other rooms. Well, my brother doesn't like doing it like that. My brother likes doing the hallway first, then the living room. But the thing is, he takes like the longest time we've spent on hoovering and mopping. Again, it's petty, but I'm mentioning it because it pees me off, and I've got to do it tomorrow, unfortunately, which is going to be annoying. It takes sometimes 2 to 3 hours to do all of the rooms. Now,
Yeah.
I've done what me and Jacob do, and we do it every 3 days. By the way, that's the rule according to Mum. We do it every 3 days. I've done hoovering and mopping in about an hour. So I've cut it down massively to what it takes when me and Jacob do it, right? But I don't spend 10, 15 minutes doing one room. I mean, Mum will say a lot, oh, I miss bits. Oh, I go round things. I don't pick things up. But you're not going to pick up every single little tiny thing around the room.
No, not many people do. So
I'll tell you what, Jack, 25 years ago, and almost 20 years ago, I used to clean the floor, carpets, with a dustpan and brush. Never used to use a Hoover. Right, I used to go around on my hands and knees, and I could get the carpet cleaner with a dustpan and brush. Took me longer, but I'd get it cleaner with a dustpan and brush than with a Hoover. And that's obviously you'd have to go over the same spot like that and get all the shit to come to the surface. And I would do that throughout the whole house. It was a 3-bedroom house with a dining as well. So we had 4 plus the lounge, 5 plus the hall, stairs and landing, 6 rooms. And this was when we had 6 kids living there as well. So you can imagine the shit.
Yeah, definitely.
That must have took several hours to do.
I done it. It was actually therapeutic, same as I like ironing. I mean, it probably sounds weird, but I like every now and again I'll take all the shit out the cupboards and I'll just stand there and iron it all because it's really therapeutic just ironing it. And then
I used to do a lot. I used to do it for the family, Dan, with the ironing, but instead of an iron, I had a giant steam press that you push down. It would do double-sided jeans. It would do sheets folded up, and it'd all come out nice and pressed. But Jack, if somebody's complaining about the way you do things, as I used to get with visitors in my house, if you don't like the way I do it your fucking self.
That's exactly what I say to my parents and my brother all the time. That's exactly what I say. If you don't like how I'm doing something, do it yourself. And then me and my brother get into an argument, and the annoying thing is whenever we get into an argument, it stresses Mum out, and eventually, if she does, she'll have a fit because of the stress that she goes under. So it doesn't help our situation. But at the same time, but the thing is, then it will all be put onto me. I mean, a lot of the times Jacob has said that it's both of our fault, but the thing is, if I wasn't the one that caused it, so if Jacob started it, I'm not the one that started it.
What I'm saying though, Jack, I like that. If there's going to be an argument, Jack, near your mum, say your piece, leave the room, and go up to your room. Don't stay there to argue.
But then me doing that, and that's another thing. But then me doing that, especially if it's what was, I don't even know. It depends on where the argument. It depends on what I'm doing at the time. If I've got to do something for Mum, right? If the argument, like if we're doing hoovering and mopping, for example, if I've got to do the hoovering and mopping, if I do that, I get moaned at by Jacob for going up the stairs, and by Mum. So it's like I can't win. So it's like, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. I can't chill out for 5 minutes. You get what I mean? So
I do understand, but it is beneficial to you to say, look, I don't want to argue, but I'm not doing it. If you're going to keep telling me I have to do it, I do it my way. You do it your way, and I respect your way, but I do it my way. That's it. I mean, it's like making a cup of tea. All right, in my house, I have these big kettle boilers. They stay on all the time, so I can get a hot cup of coffee or tea night and day. All right. When I get visitors, first time as a guest, I'll make them a cup of coffee. When they come the next time round, oh, can you make me a cup of coffee? Fucking kettle's in the kitchen, help yourself. You become a pest after that.
That's a nice comment, Callus. That's a beautiful comment.
What was that?
No, Callus just taking the mic.
Oh.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about him, Jack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, the thing is...
Just walk away.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, I think the first thing that I will be doing, either today, later on today, or tomorrow, I will be coming up with an idea as to when my brother works, and when he's working and when he's not, and figure something out, and I'll explain to Mum, well, I'm doing this 7 days a week, pretty much, almost. Because by the way, yesterday, no, it's Sunday today, isn't it? Yeah, yesterday I was downstairs for a little bit. Was it Friday? It might have been Friday. Yeah, Friday I was downstairs most of the day. But the thing is, I'm downstairs most of the day, almost every day anyway. Saturday and Sunday are mainly the 2 days that I actually get time to myself. But again, it will depend on what is going on that day. If Dad is doing some work in his shed on the Saturday and my brother's at work, I'll have to be downstairs for most of the day. Until he's finished. If my brother's at home, I mean, we have gone halves, by the way, before, where let's say my brother goes work at 3 o'clock. He actually leaves the house and goes work and goes to work at 3, and he's got to be there by 4, for example. Then we will go halves. So I will be upstairs for half the amount of time, and then Jake will be upstairs for half the amount of time. So it's fair on us both, and that to me is okay. I don't mind that. That's not a problem, because in that way, it's not all me being put on. Like, it's not me doing all the caring. It's Jacob's doing some of it and I'm doing some of it. That's okay. But I think whenever Jacob's off, I think that those days in particular, I don't know, I'll need to figure out what days in particular I want. I mean, obviously it will have to go on a weekly basis because the days will always change.
Yeah.
One day Jacob could have a Tuesday and a Friday off. The next week he could have a Monday and a Wednesday off.
Yeah.
So it all depends. But that will really help. And if we can stick to that, and if there's no issues, I think that will help, because I don't think Mom, Dad, and Jacob actually realise how stressed I am at the moment. And I don't know if I explained already, but I have had the time to come on the computer, but I don't know about you, Dan, but do you ever go on the computer sometimes and just think to yourself, I'm so bored right now, I don't know what to do? Like, that is how I've been feeling for a good month. I've been coming on the computer and I've just been bored out of my mind watching YouTube, and I think to myself, everything's just crap. There's nothing to do. And I think that could just be because of my self-esteem, because I've been how I've been feeling, and I'm probably not getting in a good state of mind. And by that time, by me coming up the stairs, I'll probably be on the computer for an hour, maybe 2, maybe even more sometimes, maybe less. And I'll just go to bed because I'll be shattered. So it's like, it's like I can't win. It's like I'm downstairs virtually all day, most of the time. And then when I come up the stairs, all I want to do is just go on the computer for a bit, or if not, just go to bed. Sometimes I've been in bed 7, 8 o'clock at night. That's my earliest.
That's the emotional trauma that you're going through with your mental health and your disorder. That's normal for people that have got disorders like you've got, Jack. So don't blame yourself, mate. But if you get a whiteboard and you write it, what the plan's going to be that you're putting in place to make sure there's harmony within the house, and everybody agrees to stick to it, put it in the kitchen, have a copy of it on your computer so everyone knows where they are week by week, and ask them, tell them the truth about how you're feeling. You have to let them know the pressure that you're under.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to introduce this whiteboard system.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been doing. And I mean, in my opinion, I think it's just been, it's all right. It's okay. It's all right. It doesn't get to me anyway. Unnecessary shit comments like that don't get to me anyway. But it's just one of those things, I guess. But I'm not trying to say it is what it is, because the thing is, my parents have been saying that. Well, mainly my mum and my brother. They say it a lot. Well, it's mainly my brother that says it. It is what it is. Tough shit, or tough, that kind of thing. And I think to myself, well, that's not a very good way of thinking of it like that, right? I'm the one looking after Mum, so don't you think you should be? Because I mean, my brother's even said, I'm happy. I mean, because I mentioned it yesterday, because I was just that down. I said yesterday, I can't be dealing with any of your crap anymore, right? And obviously my mum swore at me yesterday, and whatnot, and she was like, well, if you know where the door is, if you want to move out, pack your bags, all this stuff, all that crap, right? And I'm like, I've been doing it for 4 years, and there's only so much I can take. And all I heard from my brother is, well, all I'll do right now, I'll hand in 2 weeks' notice, and I'll let my work know what's going on. That's what my brother said, and I'll stay here for 2 weeks, right? or Andy mentioned as well, or if you don't want to be a carer anymore, then I'll resign and I'll care for mum, and you'll have to go out and go out and look for a job.
Call their bluff. Go find somewhere else.
Yeah.
And see the
That's
manage with
something-
that.
Jack, have you ever sat down with all of them together and talked about this?
Yes.
You have. Okay,
Yes,
fair enough.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a question.
No, I know. Yeah.
Jack, just 1 second. I just want to interrupt. Right. For anybody that doesn't like the topic this evening, okay, you are more than welcome to go and find another channel this evening that you want to watch. Okay. When we're talking to people about mental health issues, right? I suffer quite a bit from mental health myself, right? I know Roger does, and I want to try and help people. Not just, this is why these live streams are different to what stuff I used to put out during the week. I'll get back to doing that in the new year, I hope. But this is why the live streams are so different, because we deal with a lot of stuff, and it affects my mental health, going through all the stuff that I have to go through with the police. So on a live stream, we try and have a laugh, and we, as many of you know, long time watchers know, we've spoken to people that have been in crisis on here, and we've had a few people that have said, you know, thank you to me for one reason or another afterwards for allowing them to talk.
Yes.
I think that people that are in situations that they're struggling with need to talk. Okay, I think it's very, very important. And I will give people the time to do that. I do not hold people here in the comments with a gun to their head. Okay, I do not mind. I won't be offended if somebody doesn't come on because of the topic we're talking about and they want to go and watch something else this week. That's fine. Absolutely fine by me. We don't do this often, but sometimes people need to talk, and I think it's important. And I do think that anybody that has an issue with that shouldn't be putting in the comments. And I'm not trying to protect Jack's feelings, because he's an adult, and you know, he can deal with his own feelings in his own way. My point is, nobody should slate people for going through a situation that they find difficult. Okay, and we want to try and help people. Same as you guys, many of you guys have helped me in similar situations, and you have, you know. And if somebody turned around, and I know what it would have felt like if somebody had turned around during that live stream that I broke down on here. Okay, I know what I would have felt like if somebody started slagging me off and calling me all sorts of cunts under the sun in the comments, and it ain't helping people. So please, if you don't want to listen, please go and find something else to watch and come back next week when we're talking about something different. You know what I mean?
The other thing on that is they've got to realise that sometimes coming on here is the only time that people can talk, because it's the only people they've got to talk to, and it's only here once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got my different mugs now because people take
You make mine up.
Oh my god!
You are wrong, and you are Dan.
I'm saying nothing.
As a member that's not been around as long as some of you have, this is what I consider on a Sunday Pat's family. And if we can't honestly talk about conversations like we are doing now, and you're embarrassed by that, then don't switch on. People here are part of a big family, and you need to understand that some of us need to vent to us and talk about their problems to help themselves. Jack can get lots of information with what Dan suggested, Roger, Mrs. W, anybody in the chat putting in suggestions like going to the carers group. If they will help you, Jack. If you want to go on a holiday, they take people on weeks holidays, and then your family will certainly learn to know and understand what's missing when you're not there.
I care for myself. Can I get a week away?
No.
I need a
Can
week
I
away.
get a week off from Roger?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you could, Mrs. W. You could say you got depression.
Do the bloody hoovering then.
You don't do it.
Roger
That's only because I won't let you use my hoover.
Roger needs a bloody good Roger in.
No, she asked a couple of years ago. She asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said a new hoover, and that's what she bought me.
Oh wow!
What, a Filipino?
She hasn't got as far as making me wear the maid's outfit. I think there is one up there somewhere, but I won't go in, no, because that will set Pap off again.
You leave my outfits out of it.
Wait.
I will not.
I'll stop looking at that bloody mug now.
I've seen another police advert, Dan. Sorry to change the subject, Jack. I didn't mean to interfere.
It's okay.
But I saw another police advert that's being. I don't know whether it's across the UK, but we're getting a lot in Devon. So I don't know what's going on. Now, if you have a car accident and there's nobody injured, the police won't attend. You go through your insurance. So does that mean if a woman sat there, she's been hit by a drunk driver, and she can't call the police? That does not make sense to me. Unless someone's hurt, they won't attend.
Okay, so a vehicle that's been immobilised through an accident of some description.
Yes.
And the occupants can't get home, stuck in the middle of the road, and the police aren't going to attend. You have to deal with it all yourself.
For the insurance.
Have you seen the adverts down your end, Tina, for the West Country Police?
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Back in a minute.
Come and talk to us. Tell us what you want. Go on one of them adverts and have a look in the comments.
Yes. Well, the best one. Well, I have my daughter lives alone. She's chronically disabled, so she's doing her PlayStation thing. She suddenly sees a face appear at her window. Then the guy tried to get into the property, so she called the police. Now she's a vulnerable young lady; she can't move around very well, and they turned around and said to her, "We cannot come to your property unless he's inside. He's injured you." But we'll send a PSO in two weeks to have a chat.
So what you do then is you say, right, so I'm going to pick up a knife and I'm going to go out there and get him off my property, and they'll be there in seconds.
Yeah, but they refused to attend. They said, we'll send a PCSO to have a chat to make sure you're okay. She said, don't bother, because they're not going to come into my house. I'll tell them to F off.
We know what them welfare checks are like.
Yeah. Yeah, he was looking in the main window, and he went to the front door and tried it, but like me, she locks her door, and he went to the back of the house as well and tried that door. And they said, no, we're not coming round. It's not a police matter unless they break into your property.
I've heard that God Bless the UK locks his front door, but always leaves his back doors unlocked.
Oh, my God. You're terrible.
It's like a cat flap. Sorry, Simon.
So we're talking about God Bless the UK. It's more like, Roger, it's more like doors than a cat flap.
Oh my God. The advert they're still pushing, though, is to download the Lost and Found app. The police want you to download an app on your phone and then report something you've lost, and they'll try and find it for you. In the meantime, in the background, they'll be stealing all your information.
Oh, shit, he's still here watching.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, what?
As you saw on the colour of the blood pressures.
Hi, Simon.
How's your saloon doors, mate?
Oh, dear. But it is getting ridiculous with these adverts, Dan. It's getting, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, we're not doing that, we're not doing that. That's the council, that's the traffic warden service, blah, blah, blah.
They might as well just put one out and say, we're not enforcing the law. We'll just do what we want, when we can be asked.
Well, somebody rings up in one of their scenarios. There's a guy parked outside my house. I've checked with DVLA. There's no tax and no insurance on the car and no MOT. And the police turn around and say in the advert, so sorry, it's nothing to do with us. Contact your local council. It's not a police matter.
Yeah, they put their things on Facebook. We nicked so many today. Look, this one hasn't got insurance. That one hasn't got tax.
They're not doing it, mate. In Devon itself, they got traffic wardens that go out, but it's actually been given to Devon County through DVLA to pick the cars up. They won't even call the tow trucks in to remove them, and they're on the road. Uninsured, no MOT, no tax, on the road, and they're not bothering. They're just not doing it. So,
They would if it was me.
Yeah, they would. I can't wait to get my scooter next year and see how many times they pick on me. So yeah, I'll be giving them shit.
Nothing normal about me, Beardy. Believe me. Or just less.
Oh, your hair looks good, Roger.
It's only the biannual shearing. It will be back to the usual before long.
Listen, to say you've got hair on your head, you've got to have more than several square centimeters. Roger's head,
He's
not
fine.
hair.
He's fine.
Yeah, but you think about what the police are doing. Now, I said this in a video the other day. Look at all the footage that gets put out about the arrests of main people at protests. I'll use Greta Thunberg, Tommy Robinson, Active, people like that. Now, if you look what they're doing now, they're not trying to hide these arrests. They're doing it very, very slowly to give whoever they're arresting their chance to have a rant and a shout. They're openly showing the public that they will be violent towards them on camera, deliberately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what they're doing is conditioning people very slowly to accept this is how the police are going to be if you don't do as you're told. It's all conditioning.
And I said this about a couple of years ago. I said this about the propaganda police TV shows, right? It is all about conditioning people in their homes without them realizing while they're watching their propaganda machine on, stuck on their wall in their fucking living room, and they're watching it, and it shows the police knocking people off bikes in their cars. It shows the police piling on top of them, spraying them with CS gas, hitting them with clubs and all sorts of stuff like that. And the reason that they've done it, and then they turn around and go, "Oh, such a violent criminal," but there was, very little violence there, and it's all done to condition people. All of it is done to condition.
Absolutely.
Yep, it is.
And they started it when they got the new powers through lockdown and that. They started stamping their authority further and further then, and it's just been escalating very slowly ever since.
Yeah, look, Moose just said, I can't think of any reason to call the police unless I need it for insurance company reasons. I'll tell you something, Moo. I made a complaint to the police because a crime had actually been committed against me. Malicious communications. Somebody with the email address Kringle Dr. Henry
him
at gmail.com sent me a picture of their penis. Okay. And said, do you want a cockpick, pap? So I contacted the police because I think that's disgusting. Do you know what I mean? I don't send pictures.
Could you see? Yeah, but could you see the dick? He's got a little dick, so could you fucking see that?
Well, it was small, but it was there. It was like a large vagina. And the police told me. The woman I was on the phone to, she said to me, "Okay, I'll take some data." And I had some other stuff going on as well, people making claims about me online. So I contacted them, and she said, "Let me go and speak to a supervisor." She come back 5 minutes, literally not even 5 minutes later, and she come out with some bullshit how they would need to apply to get the IP address of the emailer from Google, and it's highly unlikely that will get approved. So they're not going to.
So much for the safety online bill then.
So it gets noted down, but nothing gets done about it. Okay. So, I put this onto Facebook and YouTube, and not YouTube, Twitter the other day. But they told me that they were not going to do anything about it. Now, if I was, and somebody sent me a picture of their cock like that, just completely randomly, it was unsolicited, didn't ask for it, obviously. Sure you can imagine, I hope. Or if I was a woman and I'd made a complaint, you can guarantee that the police would have all their resources pulled out and they would find out who it was, so they could put it on Twitter and say, "Oh, we got somebody for sending a lewd photo to a trans person or to a woman," But because I'm a bloke, and it was a cock from a bloke, I think anyway, it might have been, as I said, it might have been a woman with a large clitoris.
I was about to say, I think Beardy called it an enlarged clitoris.
But because of that, or because I am who I am, they decided to do fuck all about it.
Yeah. Can you have a look at what I put in the back chat and comment on it, Dan, please?
The Metropolitan Police, Britain's biggest force, is considering plans to introduce gender-neutral uniforms.
Oh, wow.
Reported the force is consulting its 30,000 officers on the current uniform and what changes should be made in the future. I'll be honest, they have been looking at doing that for a long time.
No, it's going to come into force. They haven't chosen the colours yet, but somebody suggested rainbow.
Well,
fucking rainbow.
Now the thing is that they're pretty gender neutral anyway. The women wear trousers. I mean, what is gender neutral? Trousers means it's for a bloke, skirt means it's for a woman. There is no fucking in between. So it's one or the other, isn't it? And trousers make more sense. A male uniform makes more sense because it's more practical. You know, no upskirting up the escalators, you know, and all that stuff. So that's not gender neutral. That's a male uniform.
None of them wear a uniform that fits them properly now anyway, if you look at the state of most of them.
Basically, what I was thinking about that was if the men suddenly decide they want to be gender neutral, they could wear skirts, couldn't they? The big bulk Met officers could go around wearing skirts.
Yeah. But I think they're talking about one uniform for everybody. But you're right. A gender neutral means that they should be able to wear, you know, a female uniform. So they could, in theory, pair of tights, flat shoes, black skirt, white shirt, nice little hat. You know,
Can you imagine being chased? Can you imagine being chased down the high street by a Met officer, 6'2", muscles, tattoos, wearing a skirt and fucking high heels, chasing after you? Wait for me to catch up. Wait for me to catch up.
Wouldn't you?
They used to have heels a long time ago.
Yes. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They did. Flat shoes came in whenever they came in, and they've had flat shoes for a long time. But yeah, I think they'd catch more people that way because you'd be so busy pissing yourself at them.
Do you want me to run slower so you can catch up with your heels, darling?
And the thing is, they've all got the smart uniforms because they all put them on when they're on display, don't they?
Yeah. But never on fucking duty.
No.
What's your good news, Jack?
So I went downstairs to speak with my mom because I wanted to make sure she was awake first. Yes, she is. Suspenders in a bra.
I think you're kind of copper, mate.
That reminds me of what's it called, White Chicks, where he was blagging and saying that what was it, Kevin or whatever, saying that the bras were the new holsters that they gave them at work. He freeze FBI.
Oh my god!
No, but no, I went downstairs. Well,
yeah,
Dad didn't want me to talk. Dad didn't want me to talk. He didn't want me to have a conversation. I wasn't even talking to my dad. I was talking to my mum. He didn't want me to talk to my mum. He was like, he was trying to push me away, try and stop me from talking to my mum about something that I thought. Now, Mum was listening, by the way, and I said to Mum, well, out of the 5 days, if Jacob's got 2 days off in the week, then we should figure out those days, and Jacob should spend those 2 days downstairs looking after you and whatnot. Mum says, sounds like a good idea. If you're not feeling great and you think that will help, then that's a start. And I said, okay. And then Dad was pushing me away, and Dad was treating me like shit, speaking to me like shit. And Mum was like, no, pack that in. You can't speak to him like that. Apparently, I had an attitude problem. Mum didn't seem to think so, but Dad apparently does.
Listen, when you stand up to people that you've not stood up to before, and I know you've had these discussions, but I'm sure you went down there with a bit more assertiveness in your voice this time. And when you stand up to people that you've not stood up to before, get stood up to, they will blame you for being rude and belligerent, as somebody's put in the chat there, or something else, and they'll put the blame on you.
I just kept saying to Dad, I'm not really that interested. If you're going to speak to me like that, I'm not really that interested in speaking to you. And he was just like, oh, fuck off then. And I just ignored him. And Mum was sticking up for me. And it's nice to see that it's not always me in the wrong, you know. So Mum does stick up for me. It's just,
right.
You know, it's one of those. But all I'm going to do is, my brother's asleep, so I'll just wait for him to get up, because he's not. I don't think he's going. He is going work tomorrow, but not until like 1 or 2 or whatever. But and I'll speak to him about it and see what he thinks. I don't see a problem with it. Mum doesn't see a problem with it. Dad doesn't want to have a conversation. Dad's like, "Oh, can we leave it till tomorrow?" Yes, because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to have the conversation. He doesn't want to speak about it. He was saying I was being melodramatic because I've not been feeling too good. But that's just Dad. Dad hasn't got a clue. Dad doesn't care about me, clearly. If he did, he'd understand what I'm going through. But that's just down to him, really.
You've taken a very strong step. You've gone down calmly, Jack. Your mum's agreed with you. Be proud of that, mate, because that's a big step for you to take.
It's nice to know that at least Mum, because the thing is, Mum is the one that listens to me the most. As much as my mum could be a pain in the arse as well, Mum is the one that listens to me the most. Me and Dad have a very different relationship than my brother and my dad do. My dad treats my brother differently. And my mum seems to think, and I agree with her, by the way, that it's not just because of his upbringing, because I've got a mouth on me, but also because of the fact I'm autistic, right? My mum knows that he treats me differently because of the way I am, because of the fact because I challenge what he does a lot of the times, right? Because I'm the way I am, and I mean there are times where I'm wrong, but there are times where Dad's wrong, and Mum slates him for it. I mean, Dad doesn't even. I know this is completely off topic, but Dad doesn't even. You don't even hear Dad say that he loves Mum a lot of the times. In fact, he does it privately. I get you do it out the way and stuff like that, but Mum never really hears that from Dad. Like a lot of the times, Mum says to herself, "Does Dad really love me?" This and that and stuff. And the thing is, because of the way Dad is, because of the way Dad's been brought up, at least that's what we seem to think, Dad is a completely different person and how he acts compared to how me or my brother or my mum acts. Mum and Dad have been brought up on two completely sides of the family.
I don't think it's a lot of people when they're married a long time, when one of them is sick, they can go the opposite way to being a carer. They can become scared of what to do. They don't know how to handle things. And the opposite side of that is they may come across as rude and abusive, all those kind of things. But to be genuinely concerned, when you have a partner in life, you are supposed to take care of them in sickness and health. And from what you're telling me, from what I'm listening to, your dad doesn't participate.
Do you know if Dad had the choice, right? Do you know if Dad was if he had the choice to care for Mum, right? I genuinely believe that he would. Right. As I said, I've been doing this for 4 years, right? And I would say that I would say at times I've been crippling under pressure, but I've managed to deal with it for 4 years. I don't think that Dad would be able to last nearly as long as I would.
No, they wouldn't.
No. I get that he's older than me. I get that he's in his 50s and that, and he's getting older. I get that. But I don't think he would. I understand, right? When he was younger, he had a sister that was severely disabled, right? And he used to care for her, right? And she used to have very violent seizures, very violent ones, even more violent than my mum has, right? And he dealt with it on a pretty much a daily basis, right? Or on a regular basis even. So he knows what it's like to care for someone. Although that was when he was younger. He wasn't an adult when he was caring for someone. But now I mean, at least in my opinion, he takes advantage of that because there are times where he will stay downstairs and he won't have a problem with it, but then there'll be times where he'll get one of us to come down the stairs. I mean, if he's actually doing something like, for example, he might be in his shed fixing something that he needs for work, that's okay. But the one of the most annoying thing for me, at least the fact, I think it's something to do with my autism and my ADHD. I like times. I like time prompts. When someone tells me a time, I like for people to stick to that time. Like earlier, my dad said he had only been half an hour in the shed. He was in there for over 2 hours, right? And I'm thinking, and I rang him on the phone. I was like, Dad, you said you were going to be half an hour. Why? If you can't give me a reasonable time say at least an hour, 2 hours. Why tell me half an hour if you can't stick to it? But the thing is, Dad doesn't understand me, and we know my dad. We know my dad far too much. I don't know why it's funny, but I've not been looking at the chat. But
you don't want to know, mate. You're too young.
Not laughing at what you're talking about.
I know you're not. You're laughing at someone in the chat, which is fine.
He's trying to keep the chat engaged as well.
Yeah. And
you've taken the first step, Jack, and you should
Yeah.
be proud of that. You've talked to Mum. Like I said to you before, if Dad gets confrontational, ignore him and leave the room if you feel you're
That's
getting
what I did.
upset. Take yourself out.
The thing is, before I went upstairs, I mean, I usually do this anyway, right? Because of the way that I am, because of the way that Dad is with me, right? He doesn't treat me with respect, so I don't give it him back, right? That's how I work. If he doesn't, like, if he has a go at me for no reason, like I've not done anything wrong, like he'll have a go, he'll have say, stop shouting or stop talking now. But guess what? He does that on the phone. Yes, every single time he talks on the phone, he has to speak very loudly and it hurts Mum's ears, right? So he does it to annoy. I think he does it to piss us all off, to be completely honest.
It's possible. Where's the phone situated? Is it in the front room?
It could be on the phone in the living room. No, like on his mobile phone. It could be on the phone in the living room. He could go into the kitchen, but even when he's in the kitchen, because we don't have any doors, we used to have a door from the in between the kitchen and the living room. We got rid of that many years ago, so we don't have a door anymore. But even when he's in the kitchen, he still talks very loud, and it's not always just hurting Mum's ears. You tell him to lower his voice, right? But he moans at me because he contradicts himself all the time. He's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
He knows he's a hypocrite, but it's like he will do because energy wise, right? Because things have gone up, because we're paying more than we was before, that kind of thing, all that stuff, right? Yeah. We turn things off that we don't use, and then we switch it off, and then switch it on, and then switch it off when we're finished, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do. That's what lots of people do nowadays, I assume. And it says on electric. I do it with my computer. Whenever I'm not using it, I will switch off everything, and then switch it back on whenever I need to, by the plugs. But with Dad, he'll leave the toaster on, like to the switches on. Now, although probably a lot of people think, oh, it's not using any power. Of course, it's still using power to some degree.
There is with the toaster. There's also warnings that they can catch fire with a surge if it's left on.
Yeah, exactly. And I say to Dad, sorry for interrupting, Tina. I say to Dad all the time, stop leaving things on when you're not using it. When you finish, switch it off. Right? He leaves the tin opener on. He leaves the toaster on. He leaves the cooker. There are times where he leaves the cooker on and doesn't switch it off, but a lot of the times the cooker has to cool down. We don't ever leave the cooker on all the time. We switch it off after we finish with it by the red switch at the wall. He will. One of the things that Mum and Dad has been annoyed at us in the past, and we've always stuck by this rule, is never to put any plates, mugs, or cups in the sink that can be broken easily. Anything that's is it poultry? Is it whatever? However, like plates and side plates and bowls and stuff. However they're made from pottery. I think, is it pottery? There we go. Yeah. We don't put that in the sink because there's a chance it can get chipped and broken. We leave them on the side. But Dad does it all the time. He leaves them in the sink, and he can't be asked to put them on the side. But it's more work to put it in the sink than it is to put it on the side. The side of the counter is closer than the sink, which to me doesn't make any sense. He does things that we hate him doing, and he still does it. Now, I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but he does things that he doesn't like things done, but he does them anyway, which is he's a massive hypocrite. And he talks loud, he shouts. Now, although I can shout at times, but I'm admitting that, I'm not a goody two shoes. I'm not an angel. I have done bad things.
But you are entitled. You are entitled to express your anger if somebody's having a go at you. That should be an adult conversation. You're not a child. He can't treat you like a child. You're a young man.
The thing is, though, that my parents say now, I kind of understand where they're coming from. Well, mainly mum, because mum talks to me in a decent way as opposed to dad. The conversations that mum and dad might have with me individually are totally different. The vibe that I get with mum speaking to me and the vibe I get with dad speaking to me are two different things. Like, I cannot have a proper conversation with dad. I mean, there are very rare times where I can have a decent conversation with dad and he won't have a go at me. But other times, we can't. We always clash, right? It's like not long ago when I went downstairs, when I said I'm going to be back in a minute, I could hear everything that was being said because I've got wireless headphones. But I was trying to listen to that, rock out what dad was saying. I only went downstairs to speak to mum, and dad was like, "Oh, not now. I've just woken up." I'm like, "Okay, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to mum." You know, like, and then mum was like, "Well, dad is kind of part of the conversation." I said, "Well, I will bring him into the conversation if he's willing to talk to me with respect. If he won't, then he won't be part of it." You know, like, to get respect, you've got to give respect. And then mum was like, "Okay, fair enough." And then mum then had a go at him because of the way he was speaking to me and what he was saying, swearing at me, treat me like shit. But it's a constant thing with dad. That is one of the reasons why I tend to get stressed out a lot. And I'll be honest, if dad changed his act and if dad was a different person, I think I wouldn't be nearly as bad. I think I would actually have reduced stress levels. Well, I think I would be stressed still because of the work I have to do for mom, but it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah. If someone's not behaving and being aggressive towards you, it's going to create more stress. But like I said, you've done the right thing. You've gone downstairs. You've had a chat. You've ignored your dad. That is the first step of what you want to put in place in the future. The thing that people forget when they're in a family situation where one person is ill, when you get to the point where you are with your health, that's why I said the carers group, which will do things for you, offer you respite breaks where they take you away, they put someone else in place to take care of mum, like social services. They also have volunteers. And what the volunteers do, they will go and sit with your mum for 4 hours and do what she needs. Even if your dad's there, have a chat with her, keep her comfortable, even if they just want to sit and watch her sleep. But that's all free. Those services are free. What gets me is they don't realise what you've been doing for them until it's not there. That's when reality hits home. So you haven't had that opportunity yet to leave and go away for a couple of days or go on a day trip somewhere. Because with you not being there, the other two have to step up. That's the point.
Yeah.
You know, my mum's got dementia. My brother and sister are looking after her in shifts. I go down there I wasn't going down there very often because I was kicked out at 15.5 from that house, and it's a nightmare house for me. So I don't like being there. But I will go down there because it's my mother.
Mikey, they didn't have the receptacle big enough.
Wait, did they need the magnifying glass to see?
You're doing the right thing, Jack. That's a first step. That's a brave step you took earlier. That really is a good step to take.
The thing is as well.
I'm trying to help you all night, and now you go and abuse me like that. Cheers, Jack.
I had to say it though. I just had to. The joke was there. The thing is as well, which I tend to say a lot, because my relationship with my dad and my relationship with my mum is a lot different. Whenever before I get ready to go upstairs, as you do, I'll always say good night, mum. Now there'll be times where I say good night, dad, and he won't answer, and he'll be ignorant, or he'll say good night. But a lot of the times I don't say good night, dad, like I did today, because if he treats me bad and he treats me like shit, and I get grief off of him, and I know I'm in the right and he's in the wrong, I'm not gonna just pretend as if it didn't happen, and then be like, and then just forgive him, kind of thing.
You don't have to. You don't have to forgive people. Something to remember. Something to remember. You don't have to forgive people. By saying goodnight to somebody isn't forgiving them. One thing you need to remember, right? Every time we walk out the last door, it could be the last time we walk out that door. and saying I love you to the person who's left behind, okay, whether you've had an argument or not, I think is an important thing to do. So, you know, anything could happen. You could go to sleep and something could happen. Do you know what I mean? And to begrudge saying goodnight to somebody, even if, you know what I do, I say, you know, when I was at my mum and dad's, I just said night, and they were both in the room. You know, was I talking to both of them? Was I talking to one of them? Doesn't matter. I just say night. In my head, I could just be talking to my mum, but they both heard it, and they can't moan at me for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not suggesting that you should, you know, I'm not suggesting that you should do anything different than what you're doing. That's not what, that's not what I'm just saying, that we have to be careful, because just silly little things like that. I mean, my kids tell me they love me. You know what I mean? I've been 20 years without hearing that from my kids. And a couple of months ago, I saw them for the first time. In fact, knows how long. And you know what? From the first time I saw them, when I left them that night, they both said that they loved me. Right? And I would never not say that to them. You know, I've always loved them. I've never had an opportunity to tell them, and I would never not say to them, even if we fell out. I would still tell them that I love them. And if I'm there with them for whatever reason, and you know, and I'm staying over or they're staying over, and I will always say goodnight, even if we've had a row. But that's just me. I'm not saying that you should do what I do. I just think it's important to remember that anything can happen, and if we don't say, you know, if we go to bed with that begrudginess towards somebody, or if we go out with that same feeling, we wouldn't forgive ourselves if something happened, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, you have to.
I get what
look
you're
at the
saying.
family dynamics. Yeah, it's about patience. With me,
sorry,
my
Tina.
best.
If they're both sitting in the same room and you just say night, and that's all you need to do. At least you've said it. Whether they want to respond or not is down to them. At least you have taken the high ground and been more adult about things. Sorry, Tina.
Yeah, I was kicked out under the age of 16, Jack, because my dad was trying to burn my mum's arm over a pan of hot water because his dinner was 2 minutes late. So I knocked his 2 front teeth out. So yeah, and social services didn't care, so I had to get a private flat, which is what a policeman helped me do, a local bicycle police officer. And I lived my life from that. But from a very young age, my dad was a bully, and I was one of his favourite punch bags because I was the middle child, devil's spawn, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was a nasty, nasty house. But I still dedicated my life, despite working 2 jobs. When my dad got ill, I had a pager. Oh, that thing used to go off all the time. And I was always turning up at that house to help my mum out and the family and calm my dad down. Now my mum's ill, I'm taking care of her, but I hate that house. And my sister said, "Oh, you should move in." I went, "No way, not moving back over the side of the river. No."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the dynamics in a family, and Dan's right. If you just say, you know, that's it, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
And just walk away.
Yeah. The thing is as well, whenever I do say, I mean, get where you're coming from, Dan. I do. It's not all the time I say good night just to mum. I do say it to both, and it's just, to me, it feels like. I mean, the thing is I don't hear it from him personally, but I say to mum a lot of the times, does Dad actually love me? You know, does Dad actually care about me? Does Dad actually care about the things that I'm doing for you? Right? Because it seems to me like I'm slaving away, doing all this work for you, looking after you, and I feel underappreciated. And Dad's one of the main people that calls me lazy on a daily basis. Says, "Oh, I'm lazy. I don't do this. You know, I'm up on that computer upstairs all day. You know, I haven't done nothing at all." And I think to myself, hold on a minute. The reason why I'm upstairs is because I'm down here all bloody day, all week.
I've said this earlier. Is that they're out working, okay, doing their work. They don't see what work you're having to do at home, so they think sitting around doing fuck all the time.
I have said to Dad, you're right, and I have said to Dad myself, right? I said, okay, then, how would you feel if you stopped work, yeah, and you did, and you cared for Mum for 4 years straight? You then feel what it is I'm feeling at the moment. You understand how much work it actually is. Because Dad seems to think it's a piece of cake. Dad seems to think that it's easier. Just doing the household chores.
No,
It's
I'm okay.
not.
Thank you.
It's not that easy, right? Now, obviously, like I said prior, when Mum used to compare me, and still does compare me to Grandad, I always say, "What's that got to do with anything? I'm a completely different person. Grandad is a completely different person. He's looking after someone who has dementia, and look and care. He's looking after his wife who's got dementia, who's my grandma, and I'm looking after my mum, who's got MS and lots of other conditions. So they're two completely different bit of circumstances, you
Of
know,
course.
and her needs, or sorry, my mum's needs are completely different to my grandma's needs. My grandma has probably a lot more. I mean, I don't even know who has more tablets. I don't know, but my mum probably has more tablets, or my nana probably has more tablets than either one. Although that doesn't necessarily matter. There's lots of things that are different, right? If my mum's situation was the same as my nana, and everything that was happening with my nana is happening to my mum, then I would then be able to say, okay, I know where Grandad's coming from. I know how hard it is for Grandad. But I can't say that because I don't know what he's going through. At least completely.
All of the circumstances will always be different with every single person who's somebody else. Dementia, very tough thing to deal with. Tina knows like to deal with that. Sorry, Tina, you have said that online before, by the way, so I haven't said anything that I've said then.
Oh no, don't apologise.
And if Tina was you dealing with somebody with dementia, it would be completely different from Tina dealing with somebody with dementia. The same as if somebody was dealing with your mother who was older than you, would be completely different to how you deal with her and how you feel dealing with her.
Yeah,
right? Nobody's ever going to be the same. The circumstances are never ever going to be the same. Ever.
Yeah, and that's what I think as well. That's what my mum, although I don't think my mum's completely naive, but she's certainly not 100% understand it. Well, she does understand me. She understands me the most. My dad doesn't really understand me a lot. He jumps to conclusions. He's all I'll be honest, he probably doesn't have a clue in a sense. So I actually came up. I think I might have mentioned this in the past, but I came up with a great idea many years ago when my mum was getting what we call an MS hug. So imagine being given a hug, squeezed tightly to the point where you couldn't breathe because your chest or your lungs caving in, right? And you physically cannot breathe, right? That is what an MS hug is. That's one of the things that people with MS have, at least. I think it's a common symptom, but yeah. And I came up with a really great idea many years ago, and it was a simple solution of just a hot water bottle with scalding hot water in the hot water bottle, putting it on her chest, and lo and behold, it does the trick. No medications needed, no syringes, nothing like that. She doesn't need to go to the hospital either, because a lot of the times in the past we had to go to the hospital because we didn't have any medication. It would be excruciating for her. The pain would be horrendously horrible. That's the same word. It would be horrendous for her, and it would be excruciating. So one of the things that I came up with obviously was the hot water bottle, and it's done wonders since. Now the only downside is we all anywhere we go we have to take a hot water bottle with us. Now we do put hot water in it anyway, but say for example we go to the hospital because they'll have facilities where they can fill it up with hot water. They'll then be able to fill that up, but that's one of the downsides is having the hot water bottle. But it's nice having it in case she has one. And that I came up with that, and I did get praised off of my mum for doing that, because we would have had to keep going to the hospital every time she had one because we have no medication to deal with that. So that was down to me. And
Jack, have you
Go on.
thought about these? I'm getting one for my mum for Christmas. I hope mum's not watching. If she is,
Okay.
some of the words I've said tonight. But if I'm getting my mum one for Christmas, it's a heated body warmer,
Yeah.
Okay.
which keeps the whole top half warm. I mean, it will last. It's got 3 heat settings. It works with like a battery pack, like a 10,000 milliamp battery pack like that fits inside the pocket on the inside. You just charge it up, plug it in. We've got 3 heat settings on them, and you can get them on Amazon.
Yeah.
Just might be
It's
more
a
helpful
good idea, Dan.
than a hot water bottle. It might not, but it might be more helpful than a hot water bottle because you haven't got to worry about trying to fill it up. You know, you'll get about 8 hours on the lowest setting. So
That actually doesn't sound half bad, you know.
They are good. The new ones now, Jack, are done by USB, and when you charge it up, and that will give you 6 hours of heat. But for my mum, what I bought my mum, because when she gets very cold hands, because she sits still so long, she's not circulating by moving, so she falls asleep in the chair. So I bought this scarf, and it's got pockets in it, and that's when you plug it into the USB, turn it on, her hands warm up. She thinks it's fucking great. She just sticks her hands right in there, like a kangaroo pouch, and it lasts about 6 hours. It's really good. So yeah, you can get lots of different things now which heat things up. Heated gloves, heated socks, heated hats, everything now.
willy warmers.
I'm not going into that.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't want to imagine Roger doing that around his bedroom without his band singing.
They are very.
You'd be surprised what I get up to.
They're not scalding. They're not scalding hot. The problem with a hot water bottle is there could actually be a incident where it splits and that could burn her. So if you look for the electronic ones, like Dan said, they're very cheap to buy. I've got a weighted one which goes across your neck. It's got weights in it. Basically, it's quite heavy, and that goes in the microwave.
Yeah, when you're swimming.
So basically, you heat it up in the microwave for 2 minutes, and it will stay hot for about 5 hours. And you can put it anywhere on the body where you got pain, because I get pain in my legs, I get pain in my neck, my shoulders, and you just move it around. And that has been fantastic for my pain levels, which means I don't have to keep taking painkillers.
Sounds a good idea.
Dan, sorry to drop in there, Jack. Are you still finishing at midnight to go on the market?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, mate.
Yeah,
sorry, Jack. Carry on, buddy.
No, it's okay. It's all right. Market? Wait, what market you doing then?
No, he's looking into his housing and what have you, and the markets that he looks at with the
just shows what I've missed the past few weeks, innit?
Roger's under strict instructions to remind me when it gets close to the time.
Yeah.
So
is that the waiting list you're going on, Dan?
The housing pool, property pool.
Yeah. I've got the email. I need to send it to the actual manager of the service. That's going up to email tomorrow. Now, question for you, Dan. Can you get a letter from the doctors and social services regarding your need to move on a medical welfare?
Maybe not social services at the moment, but I can get one from the mental health and from the doctor.
Social services should be able to help you. They sent people to you to assist you on your last stroke.
Yeah.
So if you contact them, they will support you.
We'll talk after.
Yeah, sure. But that would help if you got medical professionals stepping up. But the actual, I've looked at all about it, but in band A, it says medical welfare.
Right. Okay.
That's where you should be. That's what I'm going to challenge.
Right. Sorry, I've just seen a comment on here from Sausage Dog. What's the matter, Sausage Dog? I won't put it up on the screen, but I'll just ask you what's up. Are you okay?
When you go to hospital, it makes no difference. Right.
So don't say that. What's the matter? Talk to us.
We have to remember as a group, this is what it's about, is without the family doing the care, because social services is in such chaos. People would end up going to hospital a lot more. So be proud of what you do, Jack. Not many people can. A lot of people can't face caring for someone who's disabled. So it's not something that most people can stand up to and say, I'm going to take that job, because it's not easy. All right.
I've already said to Dad that if I moved out and it was just my brother, my dad, and my mum, Dad would not be able to cope at caring for my mum. I said that to Dad, right? Now, I don't think Dad realizes how much of a big, massive help I am actually doing for them all, for all of us. I'm helping us all out because, and I said, if I stop caring, now Jacob says that he's happy to stop. He loses a significant portion of his income. In fact, he'll lose like a good 60, maybe even 75% of his income, right? Because what I get is not a lot. Considering what I'm giving mum and dad a month for helping out and contributing and stuff, I don't think they actually. I don't think. Well, my brother won't be able to. My brother won't be able to support because at the moment we are doing okay-ish with the bills, but it's the mortgage that we're having issues with at the moment because of how expensive it is at the moment.
Yeah, well, your parents can ask the bank, the actual lenders, to drop it down because of a lot of people did this during COVID, that because they were struggling with the mortgages because they were being furloughed at home, they're correct. So you can actually go to the bank and ask for a reduction for a period of time. So they can drop the mortgage amount over and they can add it on further down the line. So they can make things easier if your parents go to the bank and talk to the mortgage lenders, all right?
Yeah. Well, mum has suggested, now this is the thing about Dad. Mum has suggested that when it comes to bills and stuff, Dad always says, it's all right, I've got it under control. It's all right, I've got it under control. It's all in hand, right? But it's like this week or last week, Dad took an extra day off work and he didn't get paid for that day because it was classed as a sick day, right?
Yeah.
And Dad utilized that day to do some work at home, like to sort. He's been doing some work in Mum and Dad's bedroom for a ceiling because our ceiling collapsed. About several months ago, and I mean, it's taken him that long, but he's only doing it himself and he's taking his time. But the ceiling collapsed, and obviously he's had to board it, skim it, plaster it, fill it, paper it, paper it, and then paint it and all that stuff, right? So he's been taking his time doing it, and he was doing that, and Mum was annoyed because he decided to take another day off work, or that day in particular, when he didn't need to. He wasn't sick, he was completely fine, and Dad insisted or whatever, and he was like, oh, it's fine. But the thing is, what Dad doesn't realize is we've got the bills need to be paid, right? We can't be loose, and Dad hasn't I mean, a lot of people are noticing this as well.
Family intervention by an organisation. Yes, it can sometimes, Missy. It can help sometimes. But I think Jack's going to start. I think today was a good move for you, Jack, going down to talk to your mum about what needs to change. But like I say, do get in touch with the carers site and they'll take you through some procedures about what can actually help you. And like I said, they can provide care if you need time out away somewhere. Or like just to go on a couple of day trips, go away for a week, and they will help you with that. So, and if you do need to go in town for something, you can get one of the volunteers. Then they'll come and sit with your mum if your dad's not there or he's not willing to help. They can put someone, and these people are qualified, even as volunteers. They're qualified to quite a good standard. A lot of the carers that do get training can reach the same standard as a first level nurse in a hospital. That's how good the training is, and it's all free, Jack.
The other thing as well, Jack, they'll get to see how much you're doing and how little help you're getting. And then they're, you know, without you having to go to somebody and say, look, I think my family are taking a piss. That, you know, if you're calling up for help and they come round and they see what you're going through and what you're having to deal with, then they're going to, you know, they're going to see that and potentially offer you more support or support that you need, that you actually need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know when my
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to say, when my dad is around people that he doesn't know, he acts like a totally normal person. But you know when other people he doesn't know aren't around, and it's family, he will act like he does.
Right.
The rude or disrespectful person that he can be, he will act in that way. He doesn't realize a lot of the times, but he hurts the people around him, at least verbally, emotionally, mentally, not physically. He doesn't hurt us physically, because then there'd be even a bigger issue. But he doesn't realize how much he hurts Mum, what he says to Mum sometimes, but it's mainly to me. He mainly gives me the abuse more than anything. And so earlier, just a simple me going downstairs, just having a conversation with Mum, just opening up. Mum, do you mind if we just have a conversation a minute? Because I think it might help. It might help benefit me, you, and everyone else in the house. Mum was happy to listen. Dad was like trying to shrug me off, push me away, like, oh, can this be done tomorrow? I said, Dad, I want to mention it now before I forget. And then he was saying I'm being melodramatic because I was mentioning about how I want a bit more time to myself. And I wasn't really talking. I wasn't talking to Dad anyway. I was talking to Mum. Mum was like, "Don't you think Dad should be part of the conversation?" I said, "Well, if he speaks to me nicely and he hears me out, then he can be part of the conversation. But if he's going to treat me like crap, then the answer's no." Then Dad started treating me like crap. Mum told him off. Mum had a go at him. And when I came back upstairs and went back down the stairs again because I forgot something, Dad was still moaning at Mum, and Mum was going back at him because he was treating me like crap. So it's Debbie. That's right. Yeah, he is old school. But the thing is, he can help it. He's doing it on purpose, in my opinion. And we've all noticed it. He's been doing it for many years, right? He was a completely different person when I was a child, right? When I was young, he was as soon as I had a mouth on me and I used to mouth off, that's when he changed, right? He was a completely different person back in the day. But now, because I have a mouth on me and he doesn't like that, the thing is, he's threatened to do a lot of things. He's threatened to throw my computer out the window. He's threatened to cut the plug off my power supply for my computer. What else has he done? He's done a lot of things. It's all threats, really, but he's never gone through with it. But if he ever did go through with it, I'd be like, okay, then you give me £2,000, please, or less. And anything else that you. The thing is, I don't like borrowing the money unless I absolutely need to, because my dad is not very good at giving it back. He'll tell you when to give it. He'll give it you back, and a lot of the times he doesn't, or it takes longer for him to give it back. But in my opinion, don't borrow off someone if you can't. If you don't know when you can give it back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, at least I don't want to ramble on because I only got 11 minutes left. But it's like
about something in a second as well before I go. So
yeah, I just want to say one more thing, and then you can say whatever you want. It's like
you've been told.
It's like what was it? What was I talking about a second ago? I think I just forgot it. Does anyone know what I was talking about a second ago?
Dad having a go at you.
Talked about a lot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have. It's like if he you know what? I think it was in my head, and now it's gone out my head now. You know.
It's a kind of reflection your dad's doing on you. Okay. My father used to do the same to my brother and sister. They've never left the family home, but because they were caring and they were looking after the house and doing they were bringing in money from their jobs. My dad got jealous of what they were doing. And that can be a big part of how your dad's behaving. Because he can't do it or doesn't want to do it himself, he's jealous of what you've been able to do.
Yeah.
All right. That can be another big point in what's going on in your dynamics. So that can be a reflection. He's seeing you, his son, looking after his wife. He's not prepared to, but because he's not prepared to, he doesn't want to say that. He's just taken his anger out on you. That's a reflection of what he can't do. Yeah.
And the thing is, right, if mom is noticed, if mom even notices that even, because the thing is, we've all noticed it, right? It's dad is the only one that hasn't properly noticed. Even mum says it a lot, that dad doesn't say or doesn't show enough love to mom, doesn't say to mom that he loves her, right? He does it on rare occasions, but it's never enough for mom, right? Now, mum's not expecting for dad to say it every 5 seconds of the day. Yeah, you got 9 minutes, or 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, he's got something to say before he goes, though, Jack.
Okay. So yeah. I don't know. I know I've just been talking a rubbish, but I mean it's better.
It's not rubbish, Jack.
Getting it off my chest than.
It's not rubbish, mate.
And that's why we've given you time. That's why we've given you time there, because we know that sometimes we need to talk about these things. And I'm happy, I'm happy to listen to people that need to talk. You know that.
Yeah. Well, that's my debacle over. You
need an external source in which to talk to. That's the carers group. All right. Promise you'll do that for me and contact them. They're nice people.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Right, guys, I just want to do this quickly. We've got 8 minutes left, so just bear with me a second.
Oh, what's that?
Interact. Large screen. Don't worry, I'll put it up on large screen. And I'll turn the sound on. This is a tweet I've been tagged in that Greater Manchester Police arrested a pro-Palestine protester, and because the crowd surrounded the van and refused to move, they de-arrested him and let him go.
Didn't they do that once before, didn't they, when people were surrounding the vans? Was it one of the immigrants or something?
Yes, I remember seeing that, yes.
Yeah.
They tried to put me in custody, but there was such a big crowd,
I'll tell you where it was. It was in Scotland.
Yes. I remember seeing the video on that, Roger.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here. So I think I've just changed the sound, so...
No, can't hear it.
Right, okay. Give me a second. Oh no, it's because I've not switched it over, or is it? No, it's not. I know. I always have these bloody issues. Don't worry.
That was it, Lothar. Yeah.
Wow.
Right, control audio with OBS. Let me try again. Interact. Bloody hell. Browser 8.
Pick his hat up! Pick his hat up! My cousin.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, we can hear that now. Yeah.
Okay, let me just make it larger and do it again. Oh, naughty boy.
Him. Get off him! He's 17 years old, you just tackled him to the ground. Pick his hat up! Pick his hat up! My cousin.
Wow. Wow.
That's crazy, though, isn't it? It's crazy. That's crazy.
Britain, ladies and gentlemen, has fallen when the public determine who gets arrested and who doesn't. That is a very, very bad time for society.
But they wouldn't do it to anyone like us, would they?
Well, they didn't do it to Tommy Robinson, did they?
No.
You know, in fact, I'm surprised they didn't bring in that twat from Wales. Is it from Wales? That woman who squirted everyone with CS gas the other week.
Oh, lesbian Nana lookalike.
Yeah, could have done with
I
her.
did say lookalike there before YouTube.
That's a good video, but maybe the police will go after him with a court order later down the line. He might not have got away with it.
Which is true, but they've now emboldened everybody else that was there.
Yes.
Everybody else that was there is, you know, having to deal now with the aftermath of that with the hundreds of people, thousands of people that were there is worse than just saying, no, fuck you, we're taking him in. You know what I mean? And getting some police in to clear the road to let the van out. That would have been the better thing for them to do.
It would have been, yes. But I can see that when the police think they're this hard ass in places like London and Glasgow and all the big cities, when you've got a massive crowd like that, you ain't got no chance because you ain't got enough police officers.
Should have thought about that before they started pissing us all off.
There you go. There you go. So there are not enough police officers in the United Kingdom to manage 68 million people. England's got 58 million, all right?
Yeah.
There's only about 400,000 police officers in service, and that includes the plastic police.
Yeah.
So if they think they can control it, they're delusional.
Tina, that includes there's 360,000 police staff. That's everybody. That's PCSOs, voluntary cops,
Call handlers,
administrative workers, all of those. There's about 360,000 of them. So you're talking less in actual frontline coppers. And when the shit hits the fan, which it certainly will do at some point, they're going to be dealing with something like several hundred per copper. Good luck with that.
It's coming. It's coming, mate. Trust me on that one. It's going to turn up soon because the people are getting frustrated with the way there's a division and who gets picked up, who doesn't, what march they allow, what march they don't. It's wrong. You have the right to free speech in this country. You shouldn't be determined from that just because you're a different color than someone else or different culture, should I say?
Yeah.
You shouldn't. That's what's going to be the anarchy.
Guys, we've got 2 minutes, so I'm gonna start wrapping this up now. Sausage Dog, please drop me an email. Drop me an email with a phone number, and I'll call you tomorrow. Okay. I'll call you off the channel number, not the number that I've given you. That's no 151 number. The number that is in the banner on the top of my channel. There's a number that says WhatsApp me videos. I will call you from that number. So if you want to save that number, so you know it's me calling you. But please, don't do anything silly. I promise you, I will call you tomorrow. There is some people that I'm still waiting for me to get back to them. But it sounds like you need to talk to somebody, and I will call you 1,000,000% tomorrow. If you drop me an email with your telephone number.
If I can be of any help, Dan, give him my email address.
Right, we'll do. So Sausage Dog, please take it easy, and just hang on till tomorrow. Don't do anything silly. We'll have a chat. If I can help, I'll help. If there's anything that you need help with that I know Tina can deal with, then I'll put you in touch with Tina. But we will chat, okay? And I'm sorry, I can't call you tonight because I literally, my housing situation depends on me going and checking something, so I have to go. And it might sound a bit selfish of me, but
No, you've got to get it done, Dan. It's really important. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for letting me on the panel. Jack,
Good
take it
night.
easy, young man. All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you,
Cheers.
everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening.
Okay.
And, as I say, I wasn't going to come on. I wasn't going to come on, but I feel better now. I have. So thank you to everybody as well for that. So with that said, we're out of here. Roger, just hang back for 1 second, mate.
Yes,
and I will catch you all soon.